Hello guys and girls, and welcome to a very special video. If you can believe it, Hogwarts Legacy is already 1 year old. It blows my mind, all the years of waiting for this year to just go by in a flash. Words cannot describe the excitement I had for this game in the build-up to its release, but none more so than the day before the game came out. It was like Christmas Eve when you're younger. I could not sleep, I had but time off work for it, jumping up at 6 AM to livestream my first experience, and nothing could prepare me for when I finally switched the game on. Most of you will know, as I've discussed it before, I was part of the Legacy YouTube community. As Hogwarts Legacy explained, I was in between jobs back in 2022 when the first big State of Play was released in March, and to keep myself busy and not to focus on the anxiety and worry of not having a job, I started to make videos on the game. I wanted to make a style of video I loved from a YouTuber called Gitchy1230, who in the run up to GTA 5 made a series called GTA 5 Talk, where he would discuss topics of what would be in the game, how certain mechanics would work, etc, etc. I ran with this idea, and my first few videos really exploded, such as how will the sorting work, how will the choosing of a wand work, and I really became part of the most amazing community. Getting noticed by the devs of the game and building up a following, this even allowed me to meet and make great friends thanks to the live streams done by Alex, Podcast Now. And even to this day we are all still in touch, and I think that's what my biggest takeaway is from this game, the friends we made along the way. I jest, of course. As you can tell from the length of this video, this isn't going to be a brief view of this game. Like my video I did a few months back, this is going to be a real deep dive retrospect, looking at the good and the bad of the game, looking at story, characters, gameplay, combat, Hogwarts, and lots more. Of course, there will be huge spoilers ahead, so if you've not played or finished the game yet, this might not be the video for you. I will also be talking about Harry Potter and the Wizarding World at large, so again, spoilers for that too. So before we get fully dived in, I want to take you down history lane of this game, but firstly, Potter games. I've been playing them for 21 years now. I adore them, I can play them all the time. They are my happy place, but more importantly, they were there at my hardest times, when no one else was. Not to be all down and sad and miserable and stuff, but when I was 12, I was really badly physically bullied, and it scared me out going out the house, so I was sitting and playing the Potter games. And then, when I was 18, my mum passed away, and once again, to keep me busy and my mind off everything, I returned to Hogwarts. So the Potter movie games, as you all know, movie time games made by Shovelware Studios usually are an absolute shit show due to budgets and time constraints. But the early Potter games on PS1, PC and PS2 were not. They had care, time, effort, and was actually very good games. Until they wasn't. Goblet of Fire really upset the apple cart. Gone was the free roam Hogwarts, the exploration, classes, basically everything that made the first 3 games good on all consoles were ripped up, and Goblet had 9 measly levels, 4 of which you would replay again and again and again. 3 5-minute Triwizard tasks and a level battling Voldemort in the graveyard. This game was that bad, most people actually stopped playing the Potter games. And it is a shame, as Order, the first HG Potter title, really went back to basics, and it is a really good game. but Hogwarts in this game is clearly the best out of the original Potter titles. This was just such a flash in the pan though, as Half-Blood Prince might as well be called half-assed minigames. And then the less said about the two Deathly Hallows games, the better. EA thought all the fans were growing up and wanted a third-person shooter. And it was not a bad idea in principle, but the way it was implemented, especially in Part 1, was so bad. The two LEGO games, as all LEGO games made by TT, are absolutely brilliant, fun and a joy to behold. That cannot be said though about King X Potter, as it could be the worst game, not just the worst Potter game, the worst game to ever exist. Let's just move on from there. Before we touch on the history of Legacy, there were lots of rumours and open world Potter games and spin-offs in the Wizarding World. EA even tried to pitch an MMO Potter game, but it never had any legs. So on to Hogwarts Legacy. The first peeps we got of the game was back in 2018, when leaked footage of a game set in the Wizarding World in the 1890s was released online, filmed on a mobile phone. The story was, someone was stopped in a shopping centre and asked to give their impressions on the game. He managed to record a little of the trailer presented and put it online. Many people were sceptical at first, but I was not. On first viewing, I was excited, but I will not lie, by the time the actual official trailer for the game came out, I had completely forgotten about this leaked footage. Before the release of the trailer, BBC News had some stories about Potter games for mobile and consoles, both in production. Both turned out to be true in Hogwarts Mystery and Hogwarts Legacy. Then finally, in September of 2020, a trailer was revealed for Hogwarts Legacy, and Twitter went absolutely wild. Or I guess X now? I myself must have watched the trailer at least 50 times, trying to see everything that was on offer. There was little news or activity on the game. In early 2021, we heard the game had been pushed back to 22. It would later be further pushed to 23, February. The real run up to the game, as said earlier, was kicked off in March 22 with the first state of play, and from there the marketing, the excitement, the anticipation of this game went from strength to strength. ASMR videos, YouTubers being invited for state of plays, character cards, everything was brilliant. Then finally, after we did our waiting, 12 years of it, in Azkaban, we had our grubby hands on the game.
This is a fitting send-off. This is, it feels right. It feels, like we're doing justice to what is not just a fantastic film, but a fantastic series.
Yeah, it's amazing. This is the last one, and we had to go out on this big kind of bang and have something to kind of remember us by, and it's hard to kind of comprehend any kind of words, really.
I don't know how to put it into words. It's
trailers. I believe it's like the 4th most viewed video on the PlayStation YouTube channel. It was not just Potter fans who were also gamers that were interested in this game, but also Potter fans who were not gamers, who rushed out to buy consoles to play it on, and gamers who were not even interested in the Wizarding World at all, even wanted to see what this game was about. The hype and expectation of the game was off the scales, even with some of the biggest games in a few years being released in 23, such as Spider-Man 2, Jedi Survivor, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3. None had the audience or the hype Hogwarts had. This led this game to be the best-selling game of 2023, selling a whopping 22 million copies as announced on January 8th, which is insane in itself. It's even crazier when you look back over the last 15 years, where every year, by 3 years, the best-selling game has been a Call of Duty title. The other two games to beat COD, I hear you ask? Red Dead Redemption 2 in 2018, and in 2013, Grand Theft Auto 5, arguably the two biggest games of all time. Hogwarts Legacy, not bad company here. Before we begin, I do want to discuss the controversy regarding the Wizarding World and this game. I absolutely do not have any love for the author of Harry Potter anymore. Her views are backwards and just downright disgusting, in my opinion. But that does not mean I don't love this world, the books, the films and the games. As I explained earlier, this world has been there for me when I had no one. I would not let anyone ruin my love of this. And so to the game. The hate, the abuse, the articles and swirl around this game in terms of her views was never warranted, and the people who did go after the people who made this game were in the wrong. And I will say it probably had the opposite effect of what they wanted, giving this game more attention and bringing it to the wider public. And finally, before we begin, I will say this from the outset: your enjoyment of this game will be affected by your love or interest in the Wizarding World and Potter. If you're a huge fan of the books and films, this game is that every bit extra special, and you'll enjoy, love, cherish and the little things even more, say someone who has seen bits of the films. So when I discuss some of the best things of this game, if you're not the biggest Potterhead, you may not agree, but that's okay. It's all down to personal preference, and I can't wait to hear all your guys' thoughts in the comments. So as PS1 Lockhart says,
and so to business.
So let's go into it, the early game. Here we have our letter from Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Delighted we will start term on the 1st of September. It is signed by Deputy Headmistress Professor Weasley. I know that name, that's from the Harry Potter films. First things first is to create your character, and the options for hair, facial scars, eyes are all really good, and people from ethnic minorities and backgrounds have credited how good the hair choices are compared to lots of other games for people of black, Asian and other minorities. You can also edit the pitch of your voice. I'm not sure why you would though. Unlike a game like Saints Row, where you have 2 to 4 different male voices and 2 to 4 female, in this game there are 2 voice actors, one for a man and one for a woman. You can change the pitch, but don't lower the voice. It sounds like you're speaking slow motion, and high pitch sounds very robotic, so just keep it normal. My last thoughts on the customization is the faces. They all look very similar to each other, like one big Hogwarts family. I'm not the sort of guy who loves creating characters, spending ages doing so. So for me, it does for the job, but for others who may play Sims and other games where they love to create their own character, you may think it is a bit lacklustre. So the game starts out with you and Professor Fig in London, getting ready to go by carriage to Hogwarts. The big thing right out of the start is you're 15 and you're a brand new starter at Hogwarts. Why? No one knows, nor is it elaborated on or explored further, and to be honest, in isolation I would not mind. You starting as a 5th year? Cool. It's not explained in lots of these games where you're playing a character, and a lot of things are left ambiguous from your past to let you create your own backstory and you want to be the character you want to be. Also, what you do in this game and the story, it lends itself to being an older student. It would not be cool having an 11-year-old running around killing goblins with a Kadavra. However, in this story, with your special ability, we meet 2 other characters who also share your special ability. They also start as a 5th year, so if you keep bringing it up and having this thread in place, please explain it. You must have had all these ancient magic wielders start at 15 for a reason. Another thing left out is what we've been doing our whole life, our family, and the biggest one, why we have a special ability. And once again, some players won't mind this and will create their own stories, but as a nerd of this world and series, always wanting to know more, this new ability of ancient magic and being able to wield it, where does it come from? Why do I have it? The story really does not care about you having it. You're powerful, don't think of it too much, enjoy it. Just before we are about to set off, a friend of Professor Fig turns up, a ministry official by the name of George Osric, and also we have a view of one of the main villains, Rookwood, and thus our story kicks off. Osric wants to discuss the other villain of the game, Ranrock, a goblin, and his power, but also an item Osric got off Fig's wife, Miriam. This is where our ancient and magic ability first shows up.
I believe he is a significant threat, and it was your wife, Eleazar, who alerted me to his activities months ago.
Miriam? How?
She wrote to me about Ranrock before she died, wondering what the ministry knew about his activities. Before I could respond, I received this. It was the last thing she sent me, Eleazar. It came to me via her owl, but with no correspondence. I can only assume
That she had to get rid of it quickly to keep it safe.
presumably from Ranrock. I cannot open it. Whatever magic protects this is powerful indeed.
It looks like goblin metal. That symbol. What's that glow? I don't see a glow. Nor do I. Merlin's beard. How did you... Wait! We did. Hang on! The key! Give me your hand!
Yep, poor George is dead, and now we can see Thestrals. What a way to kick the game off. A portkey takes ourselves and Fig to a Scottish highland, and we get to explore an old ruin of an ancient wizard, before more ancient magic powers gets us to a secret part of the Wizarding Bank, Gringotts. This is something I was really excited about seeing when I first saw the trailer. I hope we could see more of Diagon Alley, but sadly no. The minecart ride of Gringotts is still epic. We are the first people to visit this vault in 400 years. We are put to work and learn a few new spells along the way. And I do enjoy learning spells in this game. It's almost a throwback to how spells are learned in Philosopher's Stone PC, by tracing/drawing the shape of a spell. We get a tutorial into the basics of dueling and combat. This is something we'll touch on deeper later, before finding a memory and a pensieve, seeing a man leave behind the memory and this vault, before the big bad guy himself, Ramrock, who the fuck's Ramrock, attacks, killing the poor sweet goblin.
Sir, they have the key to the vault.
Choose your next words wisely.
I only meant that the instructions to Vault 12 were quite clear. Sir, I must insist. I was to grant access only to one with the key, and you didn't have them.
I have no patience for traitors. Now, where were we?
I'm not giving you anything.
Well, perhaps your young friend here will be more helpful.
And boom, we're at Hogwarts and we get an epic owl flying iconic moment the series is known for. For an opening of a game and a Wizarding World game to that, it is really, really good. Some shocking moments, lots of magic and some iconic locations. I do though wish we may have got to have a little more time with Professor Fig in London to build up that relationship with him, or even have a Diagon Alley section getting equipment, like a Hagrid Harry moment from Philosopher's Stone, as a basic tutorial, maybe targeting at Kangs with a basic jinx spell, things like that, just to build up this relationship a bit more and get to know him without all the action going on and all the craziness. At Hogwarts, and it's time to be sorted. The devs have given us a way to be sorted. You can link your Wizarding World account, formerly known as Pottermore, and have the house you got from that quiz and go with it, or just disregard it, the sorting hat completely, and choose your own house. Once again, I wish the house you were in had more of an impact on your life as a student, the people you meet, etc, etc, but that is something I will touch on later once again when discussing student life. For this video you will see me as a brave, law-abiding good guy in Gryffindor, the house I'm sorting, and some small clips as an evil, slimy Slytherin.
Better be Gryffindor!
While here, we get to meet someone I was very excited to see and interact with, Headmaster Professor Phineas Nigellus Black, a distant relative of Sirius, Harry's godfather, and one of the only 2 known professors from Harry's time at Hogwarts, the other being Professor Bings. Sadly, he was not utilised and wasted, basically, not interacting with our character at all throughout the game, which is an even greater shame when considering they hired the brilliantly funny Simon Pegg. So we have arrived at Hogwarts and our school life starts with a bang, meeting fellow housemates and Professor Weasley giving us a tour of the castle and introduces us to the tool that will be your best friend in this game. It's not a person, no, it allows you to catch up with your schoolmates. It is the field guide. It's your guide, it's your tour, it allows you to collect one of the many collectibles this game has, the field guide pages, which are scattered across the world. Some are freely flying or inside torch brackets, but most are points of interest or fun Easter eggs for proper Potter fans, such as Wizard Barufio, who said F instead of S and landed with a buffalo on his chest. Now settled in, it is time for our first 2 lessons, but we are also allowed to roam and explore Hogwarts. And since this is by far the best thing of the game, let's discuss that now. Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry is oozing with magic and joy to find, and it is easily the best part of this game. Many people just went out to buy this game, to walk around the castle and its grounds, explore its many secrets, and I can safely say this is something I was the most excited to do. Basic, yes, but the memories I have of first getting the Order of the Phoenix game way back in 2007 and having this fully realised HD Hogwarts, no loading screen, getting to the top of the Owlry, looking around at the castle and its grounds, I still smile think about it now. This Hogwarts makes that one feel like PS1 Hogwarts though. And when first running aimlessly around this castle, finding pages and demiguise statues, from the top of the astronomy tower to the Quidditch pitch and the dungeons, I got the same fuzzy feeling, and it really was like that scene in Ratatouille, where the critic man tastes the food and is transported back to that moment as a child, my happy place. The size, the scale, the care and love put into this easily has its ranks as the best part of the game. There's something so magical just walking around this castle, from the Great Hall with its Christmas decorations, all the way up to the trophy room and headmaster's study. The amount of well-known locations recreated in this game, it has something for everyone, such as the Grand Staircase, which I will say I'm not the biggest fan of, but that's not here nor there. All your favourite classrooms, also locations only ever mentioned in the books, such as the kitchens, the Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw common rooms, and all the little secrets and hints to the tiniest details the biggest of Potter fans will truly appreciate. But what is more special is the padding and the meat of the castle. All the corridors and connective tissue is what really brings this castle to life. And when you first start to explore, the grand sense of the scale can leave you feeling lost, all with different designs and patterns, which makes the castle feel different and unique, and giving each area its own style. A lot of the castle is vibrant and alive with portraits, sounds, students, and of course, it definitely gives a bit more of the vibe of the book, with popping colours and crazy corridors compared to the film and the beige brick walls. Both work. I do love this castle. Flying around the towers and walking around the grounds, you do see a huge castle, and it does feel bigger than anything I was expecting. And with change of seasons, there is never a bad time to explore, from the Owlry to the boathouse, in rain, sun or snow. Exploring the castle may be brilliant and the best part, but let's get to the student life. And this could be the longest section. I have the most to say about this. So back to the game, we have our first two classes, Charms and Defence Against the Dark Arts. You get to choose which class you do. There's no set time or direction of your classes. They never feel like classes, more just side missions. Charms introduces Accio, and also one of the events you can compete and play at Hogwarts, Summoner's Court. On student life, there is very little you can do at Hogwarts in terms of socialising with other students. There's an illegal duelling club, which is not really illegal because the teachers know about it, but that's just beating the shit out of poor students. There's nothing to help bonding with them to embed you at Hogwarts. This is the only one. To keep harking on about Order of the Phoenix, you have Wizard Chess, 3 different types of gobstones, and 2 different types of Exploding Snap to play. The Exploding Snap may have been simple, but these games are always discussed in the book, and sitting in your own common room wasting hours away, or even in the hamlets playing with some poor old widow giving her joy and company, would have broke up the fast gameplay. Going back to the lessons, they're spread across the first half of the game, and it really doesn't feel like a lesson, more you kill some spiders or some other type of enemy for a teacher, then by yourself they will teach you a spell. They don't feel part of the actual curriculum, and I understand you're a 5th year and you're trying to get caught up, but it still just feels like you're a guy popping into the school. They really missed out on what these could be. One of the easiest games to compare this element to, and a lot of school life really, is another one of my favourite games of all time, Bully. I'm just obsessed with Rockstar games, guys. In that game, there is a day and night schedule with a clock, and your lessons were fitted into the morning from 9 till half 11, and then the afternoon 1 till 3:30. In each class there was a small mini game to complete. The first one I would want to discuss is potions. There's actually only one potions lesson, and you tap X like twice and then the lesson's over. Potions could have multiple lessons, and in each one you learn a more complex potion, such as the invisibility, the thunder brew, the focus, the maxima potion. You can unlock them in the game. Quite similar to chemistry, after each of the lesson you would unlock the potion you've just made. They could have also done something similar to Half-Blood Prince in terms of making the potion, make it a bit more interactive. It might be bare, but the potion making in that game was fun. In the first Defence Against Dark Arts lesson, you have a duel with a future friend, Sebastian. Once again, in future task lessons, you have a flying teacher or beast teacher teaching defensive spells. Why not keep coming back to Defence Against Dark Arts, spaced out like the early Potter games, and you duel using that new spell? So when you learn a spell, you have to use it and duel. Charms having different minigames to competing, like a Goblet of Fire Moody Challenges, using an item to fling with Depulso at a dartboard style game, having to stack blocks with Wingardium Leviosa. Beast class, unsure why it is called that and not Care of Magical Creatures, but hey ho, using this class to unlock and show off new beasts. Exploring more of the forest or even surrounding areas. After this class you can then use them beasts in the room of requirements. These lessons, you just watch a cutscene and then a random teacher showing you a spell. It doesn't make me feel like I'm a student at school, more like a lodger, awkwardly living amongst younger kids. Every now and then you're reminded about your owls, and you're like, oh yeah, shit, I'm a 5th year student, not just a random guy who drops in at Hogwarts every now and then. It's even more annoying because you don't take any of the exams, and it's just another such big missed opportunity. You could have had an obstacle course like looping set in the 3rd book, and these teachers seem so attached to me, but I don't really have anything in common with them. Even things like your crazy outfit and style, standing out like a sore thumb in the classroom when exploring, or in the classrooms. In Bully, prefects would enforce uniforms and would be very unhappy if Jimmy was wearing whatever he wanted. Maybe I'm an old man shouting at the clouds, but I would have liked something like this in the game, to give it more of a school sim feel, and again, to feel and represent Hogwarts. I'll touch more on the clothes later, but all in all, with the classes, I would love them to have been a key part of the game that instructed, taught and revealed new parts and mechanics to the game. The teachers themselves, apart from little moments with Professor Weasley and Fig, you never really build up any relationship with them over the game, through missions or their classes. Going into the game, just like in Bully, where the teachers are heavily involved, you start to build bonds with Mr. Galloway and grow to hate Hat-Trick, and you feel sorry for Professor Watt after his date with Edna. In this game, the teachers are just there. They never have a mission for you, or they never need your help. You can have small talks with them and learn a bit more about them as people, such as this with Professor Hecat, and another with Professor Rogan.
Professor, do you have a moment?
I do. What is it?
I wondered, did you attend Hogwarts?
I did. I am a proud member of Ravenclaw House, like you. Why do you ask?
I was curious as to how Hogwarts has changed over the years.
I see. Well, the castle itself, as I'm sure you have surmised, is full of surprises. I dare say more than the staircases change around here. As for the students, well, they seem to get more capable every year. Although, we got up to just as much mischief in my day as you seem to now. I used to look the other way at all sorts of roguery when I was head girl. I can tell you, however, that I did once admonish a certain Phineas Nigellus Black for enjoying a sugar quill during a lecture.
I hadn't realized that you and Professor Black were, students here together.
Appearances can be deceiving. You see, I was once wounded by time itself.
I'm not sure what that means, but it sounds horrible.
Ah, well, it was the risk I took with my prior position. You may or may not have heard that I was an unspeakable at the Ministry for years.
An unspeakable? What does...
As you might suspect, I cannot speak about what we did. Suffice it to say, the job was not without its hazards. Now, I hope I've satisfied your curiosity for the moment.
Professor, do you have time to chat?
I always have time for my students. How may I help you?
I wondered if I might ask how long you've been teaching at Hogwarts.
Well, it's been what now? 7 swift years. Time does fly because we have fun. Essential in my opinion. An eager, positive, and confident mind is the most open to knowledge, I find.
Some of the professors may not agree with your approach.
Well, each of us has our own style, I suppose. Some in the teaching field believe that hard work and dedication are the only keys to success. But they forget what drives those things. If one cannot fathom why some would expend energy on gobstones, then one is blind to the enormous power of play.
And that's why you teach the way you do?
Precisely. I strive to be the sort of professor that I would have enjoyed in school. My experience was less cheerful.
Perhaps you wouldn't be who you are without that experience.
Had I received a more traditional education, well, enough about my student days. You are here now, and it would be a shame if you didn't enjoy it.
I'll do my best, Professor. Thank you for the advice.
You are most welcome. Try to have a bit of fun today. Huh?
But you don't actively seek out these teachers, feel like they're just there, because it's a school and it needs teachers. With a lack of day and night cycle, the school doesn't change or feel like a real school, or what is seen in the books and films. There are 2 missions where, at night, one in the library with Sebastian and one in the faculty tower with the caretaker, you have to sneak around and cannot be caught. Why not have this every night at the school? The PS2 games had it, especially if you can improve stealth with upgrades. It would make it feel more like Hogwarts having teaching prefects, patrolling, giving it a bit more of a challenge, and also giving the feeling you had watching Harry sneak out. Instead, it's just a big empty castle, a sandbox you can run around having the time of your life. Finally, my biggest gripe with school life is how quickly you're forced out of Hogwarts. and 2/3 of the game you're not at Hogwarts, and this game almost forgets you're a student. You're exploring the whole wide sprawling Scottish Highlands, and with no day and night cycle, you're never forced back to the castle. It becomes a forgotten, like you've graduated after 4 days there. You never get settled in, and it makes it feel like home. The game almost becomes Scottish Highland Legacy, and it's a real shame as the lure and the use of the game Hogwarts makes you think it will be a school-based game, but it's caught in two minds of what kind of game it wants to be. A Hogwarts game, but then it breaks free and becomes an open world Wizarding World game where Hogwarts is a little location you can visit. Throughout the game, though, you many exploits have you come back to Hogwarts and everyone is in awe and you're the talk of the school, but you never get to feel this due to the disconnect, and it's the biggest shame of the game. If you were kept in Hogwarts for the first third of the game, honing your spells, it would have worked so much better. But after our first 2 lessons, it's time to go to Hogsmeade. Back to the story. After our first 2 lessons, we are sent by Professor Weasley to the wonderful village of Hogsmeade to get supplies and a wand for the school year. This is 40 to 50 minutes in to the game, opening up the world from Hogwarts. For the only time in the game, we get to select a student friend to come with us. You can either choose Natsai, who we met in Charms, or Sebastian, who we met in Defence Against the Dark Arts. This feature of a companion to come along and we choose does not happen again in the game. The mission does not get affected by who you choose, just different conversations regarding the character. Once again, when we get onto our friends, I'll touch on companionship a little bit more. I do remember doing this walk for the first time, leaving the castle and looking around how beautiful the game looked. It blew me away, and even now, the amazing weather, the hippogriffs, it puts a smile on my face. So let's touch on Hogsmeade. The first time arriving in the village and seeing the sprawling paths to all the different shops, lots of people and many things happening, it's brilliant, and once again the introduction is done perfectly. However, when you come back time after time, because
sometimes it seems all roads lead to Hogsmeade. Sometimes it seems all roads lead to Hogsmeade. Sometimes it seems all roads lead to Hogsmeade. Sometimes it seems all roads lead to Hogsmeade.
You start to realise the NPCs in the area are not dynamically shopping or going for a drink. They're just stood, having the same conversations there, time after time. It's all set dressing. Other than Zonko's, Honeydukes and the 2 pubs, there are never actually any customers in the shops you go into. Your main use for Hogsmeade through the game is to sell everything you find in the world. When your slots are filled, fast travel to Hogsmeade and then fast travel out. Once again, due to the lack of interactiveness with the environment, you can't go in the free broomstick, speak to NPCs or sit down and play a game of Exploding Snap. It feels like everyone in Hogsmeade is just there for you, because there is no time in this game. The shops are open 24/7. They stand there waiting for you to sell and buy. And let me tell you, the price of things in this game is crazy. It requires you to search every chest and cave ever to find clothing, to buy new broom upgrades, spellcrafts. The only shops I imagine you will use more than once is Tomes and Scrolls for the spellcraft shop, for the Room of Requirement, and Sprint Witches, as this is part of a side quest. It is a really broken system, as you don't really get rewards for actual missions to make money. All you do is sell clothes on the cheap, like you're on Vinted, become a poacher and sell beasts, or find chests with money in. The biggest problem with Hogsmeade is the invisible boundaries surrounding it, meaning you cannot fly over or into it. It's so annoying because the walls extend to some of the water and hills surrounding it, and causes such an inconvenience when going to an area past the village. After buying all our equipment, we get to visit Ollivander's and choose our wand. This is purely an aesthetic thing, since there are no stats in this game where different woods and cores affect things, unlike in Potter lore. Maybe I was expecting too much here, where you could go through the game multiple times having different wands, and it would affect the stats and damage of spells, such as charms being more powerful with a unicorn core wand, etc, etc.
Well, go ahead, swish. How odd. Once more, come on, really swish it. Oh dear. Well, this isn't a good match at all, is it? What do you think? extraordinary.
Meeting back up with our friend, 2 trolls attack, and let me tell you, not many 5th year students could take on a fully grown mountain troll and live.
What was that?
I was trying to beat him at his own game.
I like it. Do more of it. Look, he's faltering.
Took him long enough.
We need to make sure he stays that way.
You said you could get to the child
to tell the tale. Meeting back up, we see this was the work of Ranrock and Rookwood. Wow, they're really causing problems. I can't wait to see them again soon, giving us grief, making it hard for us. Oh, we won't see them for the next 3 to 4 hours? Oh, okay. Back at the school, we meet up with Fig. He's found a map from what we found at Gringotts. I can't wait for the Dumbledore-Harry relationship with him. Oh, he's going away too for the next few hours. Okay. So it's up to us to find this secret room in the library and hopefully find a book. Let's neglect our studies and try to find them. Being the impatient student we asked Sebastian for help to sneak into the library and the restricted section. As touched on earlier, this is one of 2 sections in Hogwarts where stealth is necessary, and as earlier, I wish this was used more at night. It would be so much fun to add challenge to a game, just like in the Chamber on PS2 and Prisoner.
The library's closed.
Pease messes up our plan though, and Sebastian must leave to stop him snitching on us. Adventuring on, using our ancient magic Revelio, solving puzzles, fighting knights, just doing the craziest of things. These challenges really do give me PS2 Potter spell challenge vibes. Even at the end of this one, there is a book, but it is missing. Before showing Fig and trying to find the pages, we are called by Natty to meet her in one of the hamlets right outside Hogwarts. This allows the open world to, well, open up to us. You pass the gamekeeper's hut, but it's strangely empty, and we never see a gamekeeper or keeper of keys in this game. Strange. We then meet a woman who is being ambushed by Rookwood's gang. This mission will open up more missions to find pages, but also one of the more hated aspects of the game, the Merlin Trials, which I will touch on when discussing the open world, because just like the Merlin Trials, I have a lot to say. The mission for finding out about the pages is a very unique one in the game, because it's the only mission affected by which house you choose, so there are 4 different missions in the game. First up, let's get to the most controversial one out of the way, the Hufflepuff mission, which seems so clumsily thrown into the game and makes no sense whatsoever, gameplay wise and narratively. So if you're a Hufflepuff student, you get asked to speak to a portrait. He then sends you to meet up with an Aura, who's a distant relative of him, in Hogsmeade, who then takes you to Azkaban. You see Dementors for around 20 seconds, then boom, you're speaking to a crazy lady who's being accused of a murder she was not committed, and you have your answer. You saw a puzzle left behind by a mysterious man called Jackdaw, and boom, he's there, asking you if he wants to see where the pages are with his dead body. This feels so forced into the game and does not flow well at all. also to have such an iconic place like Azkaban, and you have it locked behind a specific house mission, it's not a good thing. Most players would have loved to go to Azkaban, but this feels such a letdown. You're there for a maximum of 5 minutes before you're out. If you're going to have Azkaban in there, at least have it as epic mission, with you and Fig going there to speak to someone connected with Rookwood or Ranrock for information, and maybe it's a stealth mission, trying to sneak past the Dementors. This one, it's just a big no for me. Next up, we have Slithering. This mission involves the Headmaster's house elf, leaving behind secret letters, leading us to meet him, Scrope. It turns out a black could be involved in all this Jackdaw business, as Jackdaw was romantically involved with one of the blacks, Ang. Finding a secret cave at Hogwarts, we see letters from Ang, and there we have it. Jackdaw pops out again, and the story continues from there. How Scrope knows about these pages again? No idea. I'm not sure why anyone's aware we have them. They are all just this excuse for the word travels fast around Hogwarts. This goes back to my point originally. If we actually communicated with others and had a presence at the school, I could understand others getting involved and wanting to help, but we speak to no one, so it makes no sense that anyone would know about this book. Third, we have the Ravenclaw challenge, which involves Ollivander wanting to help track down an old missing wand. He believes the owlry at Hogwarts holds the key. Going there and solving some puzzles set before you, Jackdaw pops out again and explains we can find the wand in the pages if we follow him. Finally, the one I did has Nearly Headless Nick wanting to help. First we must go to the kitchens and get some very rotten food.
Please help yourself. Thinky supposes Nick's tired of loitering about, simply to experience the faintest memory of the taste of food.
We're taking it as a gift for the Headless Hunt. You know, from the books that Nick's always wanting to try and join, where they play fun games because they're headless. Nick wants to be in, no idea why, and Jackdaw himself is a member, so to speak to him we must play hide and seek with his head and find him 5 times.
But we're not through with you. And then I will be the one to clean up this mess.
Well done! Of course, having a wand served you well. Still, I believe congratulations are in order.
Not too bad for a mortal. Now, say what you need to say to old Jackdaw here, You've earned it.
Before he tells us to meet him in the forest. So yes, there ties up the only time in the game it differs depending on what house you're in. I wish I could have done more. It definitely would have added more replay value to the game. It would have been interesting to see what other storylines could have been changed depending on your house. Maybe doing a mission with your head of house or with a certain student in that house. This game definitely doesn't have the different houses at each other's throats compared to what you see in the books and films. As a sports fan, I miss that rivalry. I don't like seeing Gryffindors and Slytherins getting along. It's not natural. Meeting Jackdaw, he starts to take us to where he died, but freaks out and dashes away. So alone, we tread through the cave, and this is one of the first times you are forced into combat, with lots of different enemies, be that spiders, goblins, or magical knights. So let's now touch on the combat for the game, before talking about the important discovery made in this mission. I was super surprised about the combat, and in a good way. It's one of the best parts of this game. Spellcasting in the Potter games over the years has changed and varied a lot. From contact sensitive method in the PS1 and PC games, where you would aim at something and whatever spell could be used against it would be. The PS2 trilogy, with a system similar to what is used in Legacy, where you map your spells to a button. Or during Half-Blood with the analog movement, and the Deathly Hallows games, where you would tap or double tap a button, then cast with a trigger. The combat in this game is fun, engaging, and there is a skill to it, and this was my biggest worry about this game, that it would be easy from the get-go, and it would be boring and repetitive very quickly. I could not have been more wrong. So as stated, you can map your spells to a certain button, but instead of just having one spell tree where you are confined to 4 spells, you can upgrade to have up to 4, and you can switch with the D-pad to have different kinds of spells. The more you play and the more you know, and the more you know about your spells being your favourite, what spells you do and don't want, your timing, your dodging and protego is greatly improved. Your usage of the ancient magic is a big asset of dueling and fighting, especially when there is multiple enemies. You want to use it on the stronger, bigger enemies. The bar is filled by damaging other enemies and can be improved and grown over time to have 3 levels of the bar, meaning a full bar you can unleash 3 different ancient magic attacks. The bar works very similar to the Magicka Extremos bar in the Goblet of Fire game. Each enemy type has a different style, and to me, going around camps, troll dungeons, spider caves, it's just fun. It's fast paced, free flow to the combat, which I absolutely love. If you take your time away from the game, you come back rusty and you have to build it up again. The different type of enemies have different coloured protegos and protective shields around them, as there are different coloured types for spells. They are split into red, purple, yellow and blue. The blue ones are your non-combat spells, such as Lumos, Reparo and Wingardium Leviosa. Yellow and purple are the spells that can be used in non-combat, but in combat they are used to affect the enemy, pushing them away, freezing them, slowing them down. And your red spells are your damage spells, and most basically are setting your enemy on fire. The skill comes from mapping out your spells. You can go from one tree to another, having 2 red, a yellow and a purple to use. This is super useful as spells have a cooldown period, which depending on the type of spell, depends on the length of the cooldown. The Unforgivable curses, which can be used, have the longest cooldown. It may sound strange, but I would compare it to the Spider-Man games from Insomniac. With a fast pace, lots of enemies, each having different weaknesses, dodging and parrying, it is a really good system, and I for one cannot wait to see what gets improved in the next title. Back to the challenge. It is a very similar challenge to the one we faced in the restricted section, except with caves this time. We fight a lot, and I mean a lot, of spiders.
Stupefy. Expelliarmus. Incendio. Expelliarmus. Accio. Incendio. Levioso. Protego. Stupefy. Accio. Expelliarmus. Stupefy. Stupefy. Levioso. Incendio. Expelliarmus. Protego. Levioso. Accio. Incendio. Expelliarmus.
Solving simple puzzles before some killer knights are back and we find the remains of Jackdaw. The poor bugger does not look too good. Finishing off all the knights, we go into another room via our ancient magic and we meet the portrait of a familiar face.
I've seen this before, in Gringotts and the restricted section. Where am I? Oh no, the room's starting to flood. How am I being protected? What sort of magic is this? I can only hope this magic protects me until I'm able to make my way out of here. What is this place?
Can it be?
It's you.
Has someone finally found our map chamber?
I recognize you from the Pensives. You're Professor Rackham.
I am indeed. I must confess that I am surprised to see someone so young standing before me.
I'm the same age that you and Isadora Morganach were when you started at Hogwarts.
You've paid attention, and might I presume you share our ability?
To see traces of ancient magic? Yes, sir, I do.
As you have likely realized by now, our ability gives us a unique relationship with all forms of magic. We can access expressions of magic that few others can. Opportunities will arise that allow you to sharpen this rare talent. Do not squander them.
I won't, Professor. Thank you.
We have much to discuss. But first, a map found in a certain book.
He asks if we have the book. Sadly, Fig has it, so he does not want to carry on this conversation until it is in our possession. We learn as we exit this mysterious room, it is below Hogwarts, so off we rush back to Professor Fig and drag him down here.
This looks promising. Map. There's Hogsmeade. And over here, the Forbidden Forest. And, of course, Hogwarts. It's magnificent. If only you were here to see this.
Professor Rackham explains about the trials, 4 of which we were competing to be entrusted with the knowledge and power of our ancient magic. The whole story revolves around this power, the history and the story that links ourselves, Rookwood and Ranrock, to the story of the Keepers and a certain witch, Isabella Morganach. This story thread and the past of the Keepers to me is the best and most engaging storyline of the main plot of the game. The 4 Keepers we shall meet all are intriguing characters, but none more so than their future adversary, Isabella. I have left some things unsaid to this point. When we found the book in the restricted section, we are also given a memory of Professor Rackham and the 3 other Keepers restoring a hamlet after a drought using Rackham's ancient magic. A young girl is enthralled by what she sees, and fast forward 10 years and she is starting Hogwarts as a 5th year. Coincidence? I think not. She, like Rackham, who also started as a 5th year, both can see ancient magic, like ourselves. This would have been a perfect time to explore why we can see ancient magic, or why we start as a 5th year. It would flow well in a pensive memory, and this is something Potter did well, so it's a clever way of doing exposition instead of boring conversation. Using the pensive and past memories to teach Harry things, it's engaging and learning new things by actually seeing them. It's brilliant, and by each memory we see, we learn more about Isabella, but I will say, we never get to really learn much more about the Keepers. They are very bland and flat, and even in conversation with their portraits, you don't learn anything new about how they were as people. We will focus on other memories we see as they pop up, and I just wish we could have more of this, and have a greater focus with teachings from them, because I always find it weird with the portraits of Harry Potter, because they're alive in there. Especially Dumbledore. Could he have still led the Order of the Phoenix as a portrait? He was still giving Snape instructions, things like that. These 4 founders could have been a bigger help in our training of ancient magic. After the original meeting with Rackham, Skill points and upgrades are unlocked. There are 40 skill points to be unlocked through the game, but there are more 40 upgrades, so you cannot unlock every one. So you must decide what to upgrade and what to leave. This will all depend upon what type of character you are playing, and also your playstyle. The upgrade tree is split into Stealth, which I did not touch at all during this walkthrough, Core, where you can get extra skill trees, extra health, the Room of Requirement, where you can upgrade potions you brew and plants you grow, and finally Dark Magic, which is surprisingly not as evil as you might think. It just really upgrades damages to spells and has extra effects to allow it to target free enemies and allow certain spells to be curses. Once again, it's a good solid system, which I can't see how it's improved in future titles, just like the Spider-Man games improved on their upgrade system from 1 to 2. After such an exciting event, it is back to school, but finally, after 7 to 10 hours of playing, we can finally learn to fly. I'm surprised it took this long to learn the ability, as the open world was unlocked hours before, but as the Scottish Highlands is so large and sprawling, not having a broom or mount to use means you won't be leaving Hogwarts or the Hogsmeade area till after this class. You won't be seeing much, if at all, of any footage of me flying a Threstrel or a Hippogriff, just because a broom is faster, easier, I would say more fun to fly, which is a shame because of how regal and cool it looks when flying a Hippogriff. The controls just let it down, and to land and dismount is a bit of a pain in the arse compared to a broom. Flying in this game, again, is cathartic, fun, and in all the different seasons, just a joy to behold and look at. I would compare it to riding a horse in Red Dead, but the world in the 2 Red Dead games is much more alive. Over the game you can buy different styles of brooms, but more importantly you can upgrade it. At the start you cannot fly too high with the boost, as the higher you go the more the broom bar goes down, but through a side quest with the Sprint Witch's shop owner in Hogsmeade you can improve all stats, allowing you to fly higher, faster and for longer. You may have noticed I didn't bring up about no Quidditch in the student life, and I won't lie, I just forgot about it, because I never expected it to be in the game. But now we're talking about flying, it is a shame there is no Quidditch in the game, because the flying controls are solid and it would have worked. There are broom time trials, and we will touch on side activities and the open world now. Now we can fly, we can explore beyond the lake. Let's look at the open world of Hogwarts Legacy and what it beholds. The Scottish Highlands are recreated brilliantly, and I do love it. Amazing, detailed. The dotted around are hamlets with houses, stalls, and that's about it. 99% of them are very forgettable. I honestly couldn't tell you the names of most of them, maybe Little Hogsfield and Felcroft, and then I'm struggling. There are not too many memorable characters in these places either. You won't interact with people unless they have stalls or side quests for you. Take Red Dead Redemption 2 for example. When you walk into Valentine or Strawberry, people are going about their business, living their life, working their job. You can speak to people, interact, abuse, chat, donate to the poor. In this game, nothing. These hamlets are again just there for you as a playfield to unlock field guide pages and to go into these poor people's houses and rob them blind. The open world does not feel alive. There are sporadic interesting things and mysteries dotted around. I once found a woman dead on top of a hill, abandoned to stop the spread of dragonpox. The world needed more of these type of scenarios. The best thing about the open world of GTA 5 and Red Dead 2 are these type of events. Random, you explore and find while out and about. It may not feel alive, but this open world is certainly not empty. And that does not necessarily mean it's a good thing. Hogwarts Legacy got the Ubisoft open world treatment, where there is something of a point of interest, or something to do, or interact with every 10 to 15 seconds. Be that some spiders, a pack of wolves, in theory, a cave to explore, a Merlin trial, a camp to fight through, a Merlin trial, a beast to capture, a Merlin trial, a maze, a side quest, balloon pop, and then another Merlin trial. And some collection chests and statues, and then guess what? A Merlin trial! There is lots of things to be getting on with in the open world. It's just a lot of this modern game crap. 95 Merlin trials is an absolute joke. They are clearly based on the trials from the Zelda games, and at the start they are fun and engaging to do. I like to stop and see what puzzles one was, but by the end of the game it was such a chore, and it just felt such stop start when trying to get to a mission. Speaking of breaking into people's homes and robbing them blind, let's touch on one spell which is interesting, Alohomora. Unlocked around 10 to 12 hours in the game through a quest with the caretaker of Hogwarts, Mr. Moon. Just like any type of RPG game, we added a lock breaking mechanic. With the spell, instead of just casting the spell and the door unlocking, we must perform a mini game where we must match a green light and a red light of the lock up using the analog sticks and then hold it in place till the door unlocks. It has 3 different levels, which you'll need to collect demiguise statues for to unlock the 2nd and 3rd level of the spell, which will allow you to then access any locked door in the game. I don't mind the levelling up aspect, but the mini game, while not bad or even annoying, it just doesn't feel like Potter and takes the immersion out of the world and just feels like a very gamey thing to do. The camps where you need to clear out poachers or goblins are fun because the combat in this game, as said before, is engaging. I do like going around clearing these camps. I only wish there was more of a storyline tied to these, like in Spider-Man. This could have been used to tie in the Natty storyline, putting a stop to Rookwood and Harlow. While there are lots of different things to be done in the open world, again, I just wish there was more in each hamlet, having its own mini game to get involved in, more broom races, dueling championships in the towns, and most importantly, more memorable characters. Flying is not the only way to get around this world. It's filled with flue powder points. You first have to discover the area, and then you can travel back to that area by clicking it on the map. There are parts of the map that blocked without travelling through mines and tunnels, so towards the end of the game you'll be using the fast travel more often than not to get from point A to B, as the open world becomes less and less interesting. In games like Red Dead or Spider-Man, I never fast travel because of the world, but in this game I found myself using the fast travel system more and more. The one thing I will say on this will, Ignacio Wildsmith, shut the fuck up. Just like things do in the open world, there are a lot of side quests. I do think you can split them into 2 types. You have your companion side quests and the rest. The companion side quests are with Poppy, Natty and Sebastian and Beak. These contain several missions and build your relationship with each character, exploring their life, why they are the way they are, and have an overarching story. All are good, and we discuss them more in depth as we progress through the video. Then there are the run-of-the-mill side quests given by random characters you meet throughout the game. They range from making a delivery for Pippin's potion, to finding a goblin's moon calf, to locating someone's brother who's been turned into an inferi. These side quests range from boring to good. I'm not saying any of them are brilliant or unforgettable. A lot of them are forgettable, as the characters who give them to you. The few that stick out is one given by a Hogwarts student, Adelaide Oakes, and her uncle has been kidnapped by goblins, and we must rescue him. It's an epic mission of storming a fortress where he's being held, defeating many goblins. But that's not the interesting part. You learn a lot about Ranrock from this mission, more than you do throughout the entire game.
I'd like to think so. You mentioned you overheard things. Sad tale, really. I think I know where Ranrock's unfortunate vendetta against wizardkind began. Although dragon breeding was outlawed by the Warlocks Convention of 1709, Ranrock stumbled upon an illegal dragon camp. He was young, found the creatures fascinating. He'd visit the camp in secret whenever he could, never making his presence known. After weeks of sly surveillance, he finally summoned the courage to speak to the wizard in charge. Ranrock wanted to join them and the creatures. The wizard happened to drop his wand. Ranrock saw an opportunity. He picked it up, went to hand it back as a means of introducing himself. The sight of a goblin with a wand sent the wizard into an instant rage. He beat Ranrock nearly to death. Ever since, Ranrock has despised wizardkind, sees us all as cruel.
Due to their generic nature, I wouldn't say there's a massive inkling to complete them on future playthroughs. A game they can learn from is Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2018 from Insomniac also had pretty forgettable side missions, but the sequel that came out last year has some of the best and emotive I have seen in gaming, such as the Grandad who had dementia, or Howard, a character from the first game who sadly takes his own life. They might not be the most exciting gameplay wise, but giving interesting characters and storyline makes you want to complete them. All gameplay footage you are seeing is from the PC, but I did originally own this game on the PS5. I do want to talk about the exclusive side quest for the console, which by the time you're watching this should be expired and anyone can now play and enjoy. It's the Haunted Shop quest. It's one of the most fun, unique and different missions of the game. It's long, thought out and so engaging, not knowing what's going on. Just like Azkaban being locked behind a Hufflepuff, it's a great shame this mission is being locked by a console exclusive. But money talks. But I do hope you do enjoy it now you are able to play it. The world might be open to us now, but we don't need that, as we have a world of our own inside the Room of Requirement. Professor Weasley invites us to the 7th floor, and we are told to think about how much we need a room. Out pops the Room of Hidden Things, as seen where Harry hides the Half-Blood Prince book and Riddle hid the diadem. Getting to explore this area to find Deke the house elf before the room becomes the very thing we need. A room to help us catch up on our studies, or rather an armoury where we will grow plants which we will use to kill and attack goblins, and brew potions which will be used to send lightning bolts down on trolls. This room is your sandbox to design, mould to your own taste, and use it in any way you want, from the walls, ceilings and floor to the ambience of the room. You can lose hours designing this room to your exact taste. I'm not exactly the most creative person, but I did really enjoy planning out each room in design. In the main room I had potion stations in each corner, and the middle areas for use growing small plants. Downstairs where all my big boy plants were. The great thing about this, many others will have used theirs for different uses. Rather than being a base and armoury, they might have designed it like a home and fitted it out to their dream, like a Sims game. My only problem with the room is in the sense it is another way excluding us from other students, and we're becoming rather a bit of a hermit. Rather than spending time in our common room, you're shoved away hiding out in this little den in the Room of Requirement. The room comes fitted with a detector for clothing items, so I guess now it's time to discuss clothing. As mentioned earlier, I'm not a fan of having the craziest combos of clothing when running around the school. There are tons of clothing in the game, from gloves, hats, cloaks, shirts and scarves. The game has little RPG elements sprinkled through the game, and the items of clothing have different stats for defence and offence, but this is so boring and basic it might as well not being in the game. The game offers you to transmog your clothes, so you can wear the best stats while keeping your favourite clothes on. At the beginning of the game, you don't have many clothing spots, so you're running back and forth from Hogsmeade to where you are to sell the clothes, just to go back to where you were. It's such an unnecessary part of the game. Having different clothing that can be bought from vendors and glad rags like Bully, depending on where you buy them. It's based on the different styles, sounds good, but the stats based things just doesn't work for me. It's just a bit too shallow for this game. That is only half the tale when it comes to Room Requirement though. The second half are the Vivariums. Deke has a side strand of missions revolving around beasts. He used to be in the enslavement of a poacher and wants to make amends by teaching you to poach animals. But for good. Or is it? During these missions you will poach a Thestral, a Mooncalf, Puffskein and even a Phoenix. These will unlock Vivariums in your Room of Requirement. To look after these animals, there will be 4 Vivariums, a grassy area down by a lake, a beach, a mystery cave, and a hillside. Just like your Room Requirement, you can design these areas the way you want. You can feed, play or breed your beasts. I was so surprised with how much I love the Room Requirement. Right from the state of play, I was hooked. A Sims style Farmville gameplay. It feels a completely different game when you're up here. It breaks up and slows down a very busy, fast paced game. You can come away from the Battle of Hogwarts to design a new style of room, put up statues and paintings, then go play fetch and chase around with your pet hippogriff and mooncalf. It can be nice and calm and just sitting watching all these different beasts, having a good time, interacting with each other. All in all, I'm not the biggest user of this area. I can imagine many people who bought the game just to explore Hogwarts, and the magical school will undoubtedly love this place. I feel like it's a good time to touch on the music and the soundtrack of the game. While the quality of the Potter games can be questioned at times, what can't be is the soundtrack, especially by Jeremy Soule. The tracks for me of the early games applauded, lauded, all the positive words, they're brilliant. You'll be hearing lots of them in the background of this video. They stand up with the best of John Williams movie soundtracks. Bold claim I know, but true. This game's soundtrack is also great. It's original but lends itself and feels very Harry Potter and Wizarding Worldy. While many might not stick out to me now, the music when exploring Hogwarts and wandering Hogsmeade is something I will happily listen to again and again in my Harry Potter playlist I have on Spotify because I'm a giant nerd. It does a great job of carrying on from the great work of all Potter media. It has always had great music, and the music and atmosphere creates all to entice and connect you with this world. Out of any films, I would say it's very Prison Azkaban vibe, the music in this game, which has one of the strongest soundtrack. So again, it's something I love about the game. Let's start to look at the quest we can go on with our companions, and I want to start with Sebastian. Many people consider his story arc to be the best out of the bunch, and I'm not going to be quirky or different and disagree. After he helps us out when Peeves catches us in the restricted section, he invites us to a secret room he and his friend Ominous, possibly my favourite character in the game, found when they were in their first year. It's called the Undercroft. Sebastian opens up about his twin sister, who had been cursed by a goblin and is now seriously ill. He wants to find a cure and will go through whatever length to find one. He invites us to meet his sister one time at their house in Felcroft. You can start to see his relationship with his uncle, who is their carer after their parents died. He's a retired Auror who just wants to make Anne's life as comfortable as possible and does not agree with Sebastian on what they should be doing.
Never! I can never accept it.
Now look what you've done.
I'm sorry.
Excuse me, Mr. Sallow.
Oh, yes, Sebastian's friend. I apologize on behalf of my nephew. He doesn't know when to stop. He thinks he can help Anne, but nothing can be done for her.
I understand you've tried everyone from Nurse Blaney to St. Mungo's to no avail.
We have. My nephew thinks he knows better than the healers.
Perhaps the healers don't know everything, sir. Sebastian is single-mindedly focused on finding a way to help his sister. If there is a cure, he will find it.
Your faith in Sebastian is misplaced. Some sort of dark magic cursed Anne, and the goblins aren't likely to explain themselves anytime soon. Giving her hope is cruel. The only thing to do now is keep Anne comfortable and stay out of the Loyalists' way.
Yourself and Sebastian start to investigate where Anne was attacked. They fight off some goblins surrounding the house together and find that inside it was an ancient magic passageway to the Undercroft, as well as letters from Isabella Morganac.
Wizard in my book. Expelliarmus.
Descendo. Glacius.
Confringo. Run, Robert! No!
Confringo.
No! Leviosa.
Descendo. Sebastian, over here. Do you think that this was damaged by the fire the night that Anne was cursed? A journal entry of Isadora's. I should hold on to this.
Why would the door lead us here?
Sebastian, look.
We find a triptych that contained hints of a location linked to the Keepers, with 2 panels missing. Sebastian went to investigate, with Sebastian also having Ominous Gaunt as a best friend. Yes, that Gaunt family, the one Voldemort is related to, and descendants of Salazar Slytherin. He's blind, one of the most compelling characters in this game. Our relationship starts out hostile and rocky, as he worries what path Sebastian will go down to save his sister. Sebastian is aware of a secret scriptorium of Salazar Slytherin. No, not the Chamber of Secrets, another one. I know, this guy just loved a secret room, didn't he? He enlists the help of us and Ominous, whose aunt once went looking for it, never to be seen again. How ominous. Haha. Dad joke. To get in, it requires parcel tongue.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
It worked! Ominous, you possess a rare ability indeed.
But also the use of an unforgivable curse to be cast. Ominous is very against it, but you can choose to learn the Crucius Artus Curse or not. No matter your choice, even if you agree with Ominous for it is a bad idea, he's still pissed off at you for enabling Sebastian. He cast the bloody curse on me, Ominous. Calm your tits. Inside this secret room, you can find letters handwritten by Slytherin himself, but more importantly, a spellbook of Slytherins too.
Just here. You found something. You two go ahead. Let me know what's in it. I'll wander around a bit. May I have a look? What do you think? Looks like a spellbook of some kind. This is incredible. A Hogwarts founder's possession. What an honour.
Back to the main quest, and it is time to take on the first trial of the Keepers, meeting up with Professor Fig at Sambakar's tower.
We are not. Ranrock's loyalists. Around a dozen I can see, but could be more.
Can't we apparate past them into the tower?
We could, but we've no idea what's in the tower. More importantly, however, I'd like to know why they're here. They've set up camp just ahead. I suggest we investigate a little before doing anything else. Let's go.
We're not the only ones there. Goblins have beaten us to the tower, so we must take care of their buggers before trying to find out what they're doing, which we find to be mining. But mining for what? We meet up with Professor Rackham.
Welcome to Sambakar's tower.
Hello, Professor. Did you say Sambakar's tower?
I did. Professor Bakar is a keeper you have yet to encounter. I'm glad to see that I was correct in presuming that we would meet again soon after our last encounter, though I surmise, based on the commotion I heard, that you did not have an easy time getting to me.
We did not, Professor. We encountered goblins outside the tower.
That goblins were aware of my vault is disquieting enough. But if they have also made a connection to this tower, then the threat may be greater than I thought. All the more reason for us to move forward. Downstairs, near the entry, a reservoir of ancient magic, like those you've seen before, has been unlocked. Commanded to access a doorway. I'm afraid I cannot say more.
Taking this easy on me.
The trial begins, and once again, we are there to solve puzzles, but of a more complex nature this time, with one in particular, an interesting one, especially when first playing. I struggled with it a lot.
Seems I ought to explore this archway from both sides. Accio!
We battle through more statues before the big boss. Quite literally, it's a giant knight, quite similar to the giant knight from the PS1 Philosopher's Stone and Chamber of Secrets game. For a first boss fight, it's fun. You must avoid the attacks while a magic ball of, magic grows around him in either yellow or purple. You must hit it with a spell of a corresponding colour before it can be damaged, as well as utilising your ancient magic. After beating Miss Penksy's protector, Quirrell says, "Damn you, Potter!" Oh, sorry, wrong game. We are presented with a memory of Isadora Morganach as a student being tutored by Percival Rackham in ancient magic. In particular, Isadora was shown constructing pillars out of an island's terrain, similar to what he was doing when Isadora first saw him. Isadora speaks about her father following her brother's death and has slumped into depression. She's worried about him and is determined to find a way to use her powers to relieve the father of the pain. Sound familiar? It then flashes forward years later, and Isadora is now the Professor of Defence Against the Dark Arts. I'm sure this will end well. As well as Isadora inviting the teachers, Rackham, Rookwood and others, to her house after work. We then get a strange object, and a new portrait is there to chat with.
What have we here?
I'm a student at Hogwarts, sir, and this is Professor Fig.
Professor Charles Rookwood at your service. Has someone completed the first trial?
I have, Professor Rookwood. We saw you in the Pensive in Gringotts with Professor Rackham.
Indeed. So, you found the portkey to access Professor Rackham's vault, and you deciphered the map within the locket you found floating above that Pensive.
I did. I found something that I can't identify floating above the last Pensive.
Ah, yes. You will find a similar artifact in each trial. You must take care to keep them safe. You will need them to complete the journey we have set forth for you. Once you have them all, we will tell you what to do with them.
Very well. Are you able to tell me anything about the next trial?
Before you proceed, I would like to speak with Charles regarding the urgent situation involving the goblins.
The goblins?
The student has seen traces of a powerful dark magic being wielded by goblin kind. They and their mentor, Professor Fig, not only encountered goblins lurking outside of Sanbakar's tower, they also encountered a powerful goblin in my vault at Gringotts.
I'm afraid it would be wise to halt the trials until we know more.
We shall defer to you in this matter, of course.
Now I want to discuss the structure, or lack of, in this game. It is a mess. It seems all over the place. And knowing open world games, you get a choice of missions to complete. But take Red Dead for example, where there's a clear structure and it's broken up into 6 clear chapters. I feel like they've tried it in this game, but there can be points where you'll be doing a main mission with Sebastian and it ends in with him really mad at you, but then you rock up to his side story and he's your best friend again. I just feel there are too many missions available at one time, and next time out it needs to be more streamlined. So there's a solid beat to the plot, because at times I would go 2 or 3 hours without seeing a certain character, then do 2 missions with them and then not see them for another 3 or 4 hours. But only a couple of days in the actual game has passed. The space in between missions with Fig and Lodgok makes the story feel very dragged out, and at times you'll forget where you're up to. This last point is probably just a me issue with how busy and packed the open world is with camps, Merlin puzzles and, you guessed it, more bloody Merlin puzzles. I kept getting dragged away from the story while travelling between missions, and won't lie, because I'm a goldfish or a niffler going after a shiny thing, I forgot what I was doing then. So yes, please more structure next time. Let's now start to look at our relationship with Gryffindor companion, Natsai. As mentioned earlier, we meet her earlier on after a Hogsmeade fiasco in Lower Hogsfield and discuss bringing down Victor Rookwood and his right hand man, Theopius Harlow. Her motives for doing so is due to these sort of men are the men who forced her and her mother, who is the divination teacher at Hogwarts, to leave their homeland and Wagadu, the African School of Magic, to move to Scotland and Hogwarts. But this is not the full story. She will open up later about her father, who was killed by similar men, and she holds a lot of guilt, as the reason he died was saving her life, and only died protecting her. First up, we have to rescue a small boy by the name of Archie Bickle. We speak to his mum, who reveals her husband has been murdered by Harlow and son kidnapped. We must track him down from his den to a tent which has been used as a prison.
Little Archie's hideout that Mrs. Bickle mentioned. Archie?
Revelio!
Archie Bickle! He would not have done this to his own hideout. Someone came here looking for him. Revelio may be our only hope of finding out which way he went. There! Archie's footprints. He went this way.
Shoot the window!
Expulso! Accio! Levioso! Accio! Descendo! Philadelphia! Crisis! Levioso! Incendio! Expelliarmus! You had me there! Incendio! Arresto Memento! Potato! It's mine! Bombarda! Descendo! Defendo! Potato!
You've made a grave mistake.
Potato! Accio! Levioso! Expelliarmus! Incendio! Find you.
Oh, I'm so glad to see you.
Not too loud, Archie.
Sorry.
We need to get this open. Aloha Mora.
A man called Harlow. He killed my father.
We're so sorry, Archie. We won't let him get away with it. But first we need to get you home to your mother.
Thank you for saving me.
We wouldn't have it any other way, Archie. Now let's get you home. We know a safe way back.
Rescuing him, his mum is so thankful, but is worried regarding us. Now Harlow knows we're after him, and the repercussions of that could be bad. Hours go by with nothing from Natsai on this front. Once again, down to the pacing, but then she has a lead and discover that they have put 2 hippogriffs, including Highwing, one of the characters we will have met earlier on with Poppy Sweeting, another companion. We travel to Falbarton Castle, where we battle various members of Rookwood's gang stationed within the keep, before escaping atop of Highwing and the other hippogriff on top of a story. And it looks epic. Play scene.
Hogwarts Express. Must be returning from an unscheduled run.
Officer Singer, the local officer of the area, gets wind of this and lets Professor Natsai know, and she's not impressed with Natty. Oh dear, we are in trouble.
Unusual creature that was spotted in the woods near Hogsmeade. That could have been anything.
You know what it was, Natsai.
I am allowed to leave the castle. I am always careful, Mother.
Careful? Officer Singer disagrees. She sent me an arrow telling me that you have been trying to collect evidence of some kind against dark wizards. She berated me for not keeping a closer eye on you, and she is right. I do not want you visiting Hogsmeade for the near future.
But Mother!
My little gazelle, you are well-intentioned, but you must not meddle in the affairs of dangerous people.
If someone had meddled in Matabeleland, Father would still be with us.
I must get to class. Perhaps your friend can get you to listen to reason.
Back to ancient magic and goblins. You know, the main story. Wanting to know what the goblins are up to and how much Ranrock is aware of and what his future plans are, we decide to seek out a goblin who we saw when we were first in Hogsmeade. He was seen talking to the owner of the 3 broomsticks, Sarona Ryan. Because of course all goblins know each other and what they're all up to. It's definitely not racist at all. I jest of course. We are told Lodgok is in the Hog's Head, so off we go to annoy him.
And the empty seat is yours.
Hello, Lodgok. Sarona said I might find you here.
She did she? Did she send you with news?
No, actually, I wanted to speak with you. It's about Ranrock.
Now I remember.
The 3 broomsticks. Day of the troll attack. You're the student he's after.
I am. And I need to know what he and his loyalists are up to, so I can stay a step ahead.
Let's say I did know. Why should I trust you?
Serona trusts me, and she thought our interests may be aligned.
Well, if Serona trusts
He's not quick to trust us though, until we say we're busy mates with Serona. Lodgok then promises to reveal Ranrock's plans, under the condition we get him the Helm of Ukrot and retrieve it for him. Lodgok intends to win back the trust of Ranrock with it, to try and find out what the evil bastard is up to this time. So off we go up to the Collector's Cave, where once again we're required to solve various puzzles with the classic moth doors that are in the game.
Arresto momentum. Lumos. This looks even.
Thereafter, fighting Theory that lurk within the cave. Finally getting the helm. Following this, we're ambushed by a gang of Ashwinders. You know, Rookwood's lot. Getting the helmet to Lodgok, he is happy and states it should be enough to impress Ranrock. However, Lodgok lets slip that Ranrock was searched for something. Confusing us and making us suspicious, he has not been telling the whole truth this time. Can we trust Lodgok? Well, come back in about 3 hours to find out, because he'll be gone for a while.
It looks stunning, Lodgok. I see why you wanted it back.
You did the thieves a service by recovering it. I know many a goblin who would have killed for it.
Ah, then I am glad to be rid of it myself.
Thank you. This should earn Ranrock's trust. I will take it to him immediately. It may distract him from his search.
His search?
It is merely an inkling. You have impressed me greatly, friend. I am glad that I trusted you. We shall speak soon. Best to keep our arrangement quiet for now. Many will not believe that our aims might possibly be aligned.
We are now deemed ready by the talking pictures on the wall, and Professor Rookwood sends ourselves and Fig to his castle, just outside Felcroft. As we explain what is happening there, with lots of goblins swarming the area, we also explain about his descendant helping. This worries Charles, and we must seek out what lies below the castle without letting it fall into the wrong hands. We arrive, and after hours of not seeing them, we get a ton of Ranrock and Victor Rookwood. They're arguing over who really is in charge in their alliance and whose goals are more worthy of action and who wears the pants in the relationship. Their partnership slowly begins to crack.
If I'd known your plan was to dig up half the country...
I wouldn't have to dig if you could simply manage to bring me the child.
We wouldn't need the child if you hadn't sent a dragon to retrieve the container I spent months and countless ministry favors tracking.
You let them board the carriage. My options were limited once I knew it would be inconveniently beyond my reach at that infernal school.
Have you not acquired enough power here? I allowed you to tunnel under my family home.
Allowed me? You are here only because you are descended from a keeper and may at some point inadvertently become valuable. We had an agreement. I will share with you the power that I discovered if you locate the stores of magic that are yet to be found. So, unless you want another demonstration of my power, a power that you one day hope to wield, bring me the child.
After beating up all the goblins in the world, we can go down to the cellar of the castle, where we find something very strange, a depleted repository of ancient magic. We speak to Charles's portrait.
This must be it. The store of magic and the source of Ranrock's power.
It looks empty. If they've taken all of it, why are they still here?
Ranrock said there's more to be found, and if he's right about that, it may or may not be located here. Wherever it is, we need to find it before they do. Where is that portrait?
I heard something. I was hoping that was you.
Professor Rookwood, the goblins and dark wizards who've overrun your castle are digging for stores of magic and have broken open some sort of container.
No! Things are more dire than I could have imagined. If, as you told Percival, a goblin in his vault was wielding a powerful magic, then they have somehow learned. It cannot be.
And sir, they know you were a keeper. Ranrock used the term.
This makes no sense. How did... We shall discuss this later. Right now, you must complete the next trial.
Just tell me where I need to go.
The power you stand to wield must first be fully understood. The trials will ensure that. Power without knowledge is dangerous indeed. In the wrong hands, we will simply have to outwit Ranrock and my unfortunate namesake.
Very well, Professor. Tell me where I need to go.
I shall reveal the path. Professor Fig must leave you now.
Like Percival Rackham's trial, we are transported to an ancient magic dimension, detached from the physical world. Once again, it is really similar to the challenge we had before, performing some puzzles, defeating several pensive protectors, and finally one pensive guardian. You know, the big statues. It's a massive shame. I wish each trial/challenge was different. When I compared them to the spell challenges of the earlier games, each one was different, fitting the theme of that class. But in this game, challenges 1 and 2 and the previous ones we had before to get the book, they've just all been very similar. But once again, we do have an interesting pensive memory, which shows us the truth about Isadora Morgnac.
Do come in. Please, have a seat.
Isadora, we are all most intrigued to hear.
We're ready. I've something to show you. Father, these are my colleagues from Hogwarts. Father hasn't spoken since my brother died. On my travels, I confirmed that which I've always believed. That we have the power to take away pain.
This memory shows Isadora inviting the keepers to her home, where she introduced her father to them. She used her father as a demonstration of her pain extraction spell, whereby she cursed him of his depression. The keepers were shocked at this, urging her to stop what she's doing, arguing that ancient magic should not be used in this way.
What have you done?
I took his pain.
This is uncharted magic, Isadora. You can only see what has been sealed in the jar, and we do not know what power that may hold. But the traces of that magic are different from what I've seen before.
Thank you.
We are then introduced to the former headmistress of Hogwarts, Neve Fitzgerald.
How do you do? I must say that I was not entirely surprised to learn that a student had been completing the trials. I've always believed Hogwarts students capable of anything they set their minds to.
Thank you, Professor. It's a pleasure to meet you as well.
I am certain that you are more than capable of completing my trial. However, I must first, how shall I say, prepare the location of your next trial.
We trust your judgment, Professor Fitzgerald. You should know better than anyone how to manage the inconvenience of, well...
A vainglorious and exasperating headmaster? Indeed I should. I shall confirm that everything is in order immediately.
Of course. Professor Fitzgerald needs some time to clear the way forward. Until then, you should continue to hone your magic. If you learn more about Ranrock and Victor Rookwood's activities in the meantime, please let us know.
Very well, Professor.
It's Christmas! It is time to check in with our third and final friend of the game, Hufflepuff student Poppy Sweeting. We meet her first in our Beast class. Seriously, why is it not called Care of Magical Creatures? It makes no sense. Connecting with her, she wants to show us a secret. It's Highwing the Hippogriff we were going to rescue with Natty. After this, she asks us to meet us. While Sebastian's storyline is compelling and overall the best, these first two missions with Poppy are brilliant. She's learned about Horntail Hall and wants to investigate it. She wants to put an end to poachers. We sneak into the little tent to only find out it's a huge secret dragon fighting den established by the poacher pack.
What in Merlin's name?
Are those dragons?
We see a group of poachers torturing a Herubian Black. This angers Poppy, so together we fight the poachers and attempt to free the dragon. The dragon is angry and takes out all the poachers.
You're the one we're looking for, and you brought a friend.
We don't have time. We need to free her now before more show up.
This may have been a bad idea.
I suppose we'll find out.
We allow it to escape, but without its egg, which we pick up. The grand scale of the tent, the detail of the dragon, this mission is just epic. It's a step up from anything done thus far, and yeah, I just love it. Poppy will return to you asking for help to return the dragon egg. Shortly after, once again, this is another fun mission. Climbing up a snowy hill avoiding the bursts of fire that contrast brilliantly on the snow to return the egg.
Fantastic. She's breathtaking.
From a distance.
I wonder how good her eyesight is.
I beg your pardon?
I don't imagine the poachers fed her well. And from a distance, we probably look exactly like sheep to her.
Hebrideans love sheep.
How lucky for us. Watch your step.
Oh. Pity. The Graphorn.
Or just raring for a fight.
Wait, what was that?
Well, there's no turning back now.
But she'd keep at it. We've just got to make it to the nest.
Oh, she's making it easy.
Not a warm welcome.
It's a little too warm if you ask me. I don't suppose she listened to reason.
I'd normally try, but we're well past that. She's leaving! Quickly!
Brilliant.
Thinking you were going to be killed or spared as we reach the poor beast with the egg. This thing allows Poppy to open up about herself. She doesn't really have human friends. She lives with her gran, as her parents are both poachers, and this is why she's so against them and wants to put an end to them, because of her personal experience. This will unlock the side quest of Poppy for later on, where we'll be looking to find and save some golden snidgets. Lodgok gets back to us, finally, and wants us to bring someone who can understand gobbledygook, goblin language. We have a Ravenclaw guy, who most likely would have been the fourth companion and had his own side string of missions. This is Amit Fakar, but it looks like it was dropped or cut for whatever reason. We recruit him and he couldn't be more excited. Getting to the Mine Eye, Lodgok is not impressed with his language skills, but in a funny way.
Goblin kind, but
Here comes my friend Hogsmeade. Probably best to continue our conversation later.
Greetings, Lodgok. It is an honor, sir.
You speak gobbledygook.
Oh, Bacalio.
Enough. Please do not tell me that was meant to be gobbledygook.
Well, yes. Perhaps my pronunciation was a bit off. I imagine certain dialects differ.
Pronunciation is not the issue. I barely recognize that as language. I trust you can read gobbledygook better than you can speak it?
I can, Sir Lodgok.
Just Lodgok. Thankfully, we only need someone who can decipher written plans, since I cannot join you in the mine.
We are sent into the mine to find out the plans of Radnock. The mine is a huge sprawling area full of goblins, and once again we must take them all out. Move over, Yagliplat. There's a new serial goblin killer in town.
Now quiet it.
Confringo. Glacier. Bombarda. Depulsion. Fire.
Leviosa, Accio. Expelliarmus.
Finding plans that Amit will go over and try to decipher, he identifies them as Ranrock building large drills, larger than they have any reason to be, which is worrying and strange at the same time. Once outside the mine, Lodgok opens up about his past.
Then why are you helping me?
I expected Rookwood Castle to be deserted when I arrived to begin my search. So was surprised to find a witch there who had set up a sort of improvised research site. She was studying something so intently that she almost didn't notice me. When she looked up, I thought she would react with fear or disdain. But instead she did something that I will never forget. Without a moment's hesitation, she smiled and asked me to sit with her. She told me that she was a researcher and showed me a small, oddly shaped container with a strange symbol on it. She was certain it was made of goblin metal, but was unable to open it. She wanted to work together.
Miriam.
Yes. But how did you...
Professor Fig's wife. He told me of her research, and I know of the container.
Ah. The reverence with which she talked of goblins and their intelligence and skill, it caught me entirely off guard. I'd never been treated with such respect by a witch or wizard. So, to my surprise, I let her study the container if she would allow me to search the castle on my own. We parted ways, with her promising to share what she'd learned. More of Ranrock's recruits arrived, and we began to dig, eventually locating the first repository. Ranrock was thrilled with our discovery, but furious when I told him about Miriam. Berated me for trusting a witch, and I heard she'd been killed.
You think Ranrock murdered her?
I don't want to believe it, but I don't know. After that, something shifted in me. I had seen how the power from the repositories was transforming Ranrock, transforming all of them. I could no longer remain a part of it.
Thank you, Lodgok, for telling me this.
Time to catch up with our slimy slithering boy Sebastian. In the main quest, he has discovered the next area to find the next piece of the Tritech. It's near an abandoned mine that has since become headquarters for Ranrock's loyalists. You can choose whether to be stealthy or, like myself, running all guns blazing.
There they are up ahead.
I'll let you lead. No one enters this mine. Kill anyone who Descender! That was unimpressive! Expelliarmus! Accio! Leviosa! Incendio! Down! Confringo! Your little magistrates won't distract me! Glacius! Confringo! Defender! Glacius!
Once inside the mine, it's how many goblins you can defeat before finding the secret chamber that had once been occupied by Isadora, possessing several handwritten notes that speak about her pain extracting methods, along with a second piece. Once back in the Undercroft, they place this piece, and Sebastian recognises the location, but warns there'll be more trouble ahead. We then let Sebastian know what we've been up to with Lodgok about Ranrock's rebellion, which Sebastian is disgusted and considers it fraternising with the enemy, the little racist man baby.
A friendly goblin? You know goblins cursed my sister to shut her up. Said she should be seen and not heard.
I do, but not all goblins are...
Not all goblins what? Have you forgotten Feldcroft? Have you forgotten the mine we just went through?
No, Sebastian, I haven't. You're not listening to me.
Why would I listen to someone so ignorant?
Perhaps your uncle was right about you. You don't know when to stop.
Oh, I do know when to stop.
He might be pissed off at us in the main quest, but as I said before, you can go to his side quest, where you're best of friends again, and it is very jarring, but that's exactly what we are going to do. We left off last time with Sebastian investigating Slytherin's book, and even though I chose to disagree with everything, Ominous was angry with us enabling Sebastian, and threatened to snitch if we do any more of this. The book contained information about a relic in the nearby Feldcroft catacomb, which can be used to cure ailments and curses. Filled with hope for Anne's curse, Seb starts planning to enter a catacomb and find the relic.
Try not to lose your nerve just yet.
Incendio, Expelliarmus, Defender, Confringo, Descender, Glacius. At least now we know we're not alone in here. Accio.
Fighting through many spiders, we find a medieval student's journal scattered throughout the premises. Eventually, Sebastian discovers the relic. He takes it, however, before we can reach the end, we're stopped by Ominous, who's been following us, and he's absolutely disgusted with Sebastian's actions.
Sebastian, the relic! Look!
Could it be?
The note and rendition of the relic. It matches. This must be where the student left the relic.
I can't believe it. After all this, it lines up. We've really found it.
What do you suppose is meant by the dark sacrifice required to realize the relic's potential?
I have no idea, but we're here for the relic.
The note advises to leave the relic alone.
I assure you, we were meant to find this. For Anne's sake, I'm taking it. Let's get to Feldcroft.
Not. If you won't put it back, then I will.
Hold on, both of you. Sebastian, please, take a step back.
Fine, but Ominous knows I won't step back from a fight.
Can't believe this.
How much did you hear?
Everything. I was glad to hear you tell Sebastian to leave the relic. We need to stand together. Convince Sebastian this is wrong.
And if nothing will change his mind?
Something has to. I need your help.
You can either talk with Ominous about this and agree if Sebastian is taking it too far, but allow him to leave, or cast the Imperious Curse on him. Escaping the catacomb, we are greeted by an ongoing attack on the town of Feldcroft. Ramrock's Losers is descending on the town. We join the fighting. But one goblin rushes at Anne with an axe in hand, but Sebastian saves her, casting the Imperious Curse on him. And, well, take a look.
saved my sister.
With an unforgivable curse. From that damned book, no doubt. Your father would be ashamed. You've gone too far, Sebastian. Stay away from her. From all of us.
This does not impress his family members at all. It's all going wrong for poor Seb. His friends not liking his path he's going down. His family disown him and bar him from coming back to... Having had the chance or option to learn 2 of the 3 unforgivable curses, it's probably a good time to talk about them in this game. First of all, how they are introduced and taught is really good. Except maybe the killing curse, but having Sebastian going down this dark path and using them, and having him give the option to pass the knowledge on, is a great way of doing it. When we first saw them from the state of play, our character using the killing curse, my biggest question was how we would go down this path and learn them. Maybe my only thing to add to this is in regards to Sebastian going down the path of wanting to save his sister. Learning these dark curses doesn't come from our own anger and anguish to want to stop dark wizards or goblins. How they work in gameplay, once again, is at least, in my opinion, balanced and fair, and it adds something to the combat. The killing curse does work how it is supposed to. Even on trolls, 1 hit and they're dead. The recharging time of a spell is long enough to where it doesn't become overpowered and ruins gameplay, where you can just kill everyone in the vicinity with ease. I didn't learn it in this playthrough, but this footage is from the Dark Arts arena. Without a doubt, when there are lots of enemies, and especially large ones, like trolls, it does make it easier to deal with them. Next up we have Crucio, probably the least effective one, and one where I would say people use it least. It's used to render the victim useless for a few moments, so you can get a few hits on them without consequence of the enemy hitting back. It also does leave the enemy cursed, meaning they are weakened when you go to attack and are losing health while cursed. But again, probably the least interesting out of the 3. The most intriguing one to me, at least in the run up to the game, was the Imperious Curse. I was intrigued to see how they would use this one out of combat rather than in combat. And this is something I hope they're doing a sequel. It is using it to assist in puzzles, in towns, to steal from shops. There are endless scenarios it can be used away from combat. Quite similar how in the new LEGO Star Wars game. Is it new? It's probably been out for like 2 years now. Where you can Jedi mind trick and control someone to do your bidding. Back to this game, you can use it on your enemy and they temporarily become an ally. This is similar to how the Confunder's charm was used in Death of Hallows Part 1. They will start to attack their friends, but from memory, unlike in Death of Hallows Part 1, they cannot be defeated by their fellow goblins or poachers while under the curse. All in all, they do add something to the game, but I am glad you don't feel at a disadvantage if, like me, you choose not to learn them. Once again, I am excited to see what they do with these in future titles, as well as other dark and evil magic they can add to the game. We have talked about learning and using the curses, but what are the consequences for using the 3 curses that lead with a one-way ticket to Azkaban? Well, let me tell you. Nothing. Zilch. Bugger all. And this is something the game really struggles with, the act of consequences, of actions, spells, choices. No matter what you do in this game, nothing will change how you are perceived, how others deal with you, or the story at large. And to me this is the worst thing about this game. You can, in front of your friends, teachers, and members of the public, freely cast the curses, and no one will bat an eyelid. Everyone will still think of you as heroic, noble, someone who's done good and learned a lot. It seems so jarring how in the endgame with Fig, Weasley and all your professors there fighting alongside you, you can be killing goblins, and in the aftermath no one brings it up. You're still lauded and celebrated. I'm not saying I want Dementors or Auras chasing after you in a police style system, just for it to affect how others react to you, talk to you. And just like in Red Dead, it is a very basic honour system, but it's better than nothing. If you're running around the Highlands killing everyone's sight, people at the school, in Hogsmeade and the hamlets, should be more wary of you when they speak to you. Some vendors shouldn't want to do businesses with you. Have scenes in place where Professor Weasley talks to you about rumours of you gallivanting around killing people. This even plays into how you act in conversations and the choices you make in side quests. Being mean to a girl and keeping her gobstones, making fun of another student for his nickname, and being cowardly, keeping hold of a poor goblin's pet mooncalf, demanding rewards for finding family heirlooms. In the moment, the people are sad, shocked and not impressed, but after that nothing. It gets forgotten. Bygones be bygones. Why have the choices if they don't mean anything or affect how the person or the world itself sees you? It feels jarring for me. I went into this game creating a character, playing that character, and aligning the choices to ensure I'm held in high regard. But it doesn't matter. Whatever you do, the story will end in the same people who will still love you, even if you're a loner who's the next coming of Lord Voldemort. Or I guess, the first, since this is set before his birth. Heading back to the main story, we are now deemed ready for the third trial, especially with time being of the essence, with Ranrock and his loyalists, power rising and closing on the secrets of the Keepers. Being a former headmistress, the next trial is located in the headmistress study. Neve was hoping for someone more compliant as headmaster when the time came, but we have Black. The only way I can think of being any worse would have been Umbridge, so we need to sneak into the study to gain access. You would start to think this would be super hard, but no, it's super easy, barely an inconvenience. As for some reason, Fig has Pollyjuice potion prepared, and with the hair of Professor Black all ready to go for us. This still makes absolutely no sense to me. One is a teacher of magical theory who's based at the school. Why do you have Pollyjuice potion just stewing in your office? But I can look past this with Fig. But having the hair of Professor Black is just weird, crazy. In what scenario does Fig think he would need to use it and turn into Black? Also, I think it robs us of some more cool missions. Getting the ingredients ready, luring Black out to Hogsmeade, having a few drinks, and sneakily taking the hair from him. I'm currently walkthrough Chamber of Secrets PC, and there are 3 or 4 missions on collecting ingredients for that potion, and there are some of the best missions in that game. It just seems so rushed, and this is such a big thing. Having a setup like this, a heist almost scenario in GTA, would have been so good. The mission itself is simple, but quite a funny one, as we pranked around the school as Professor Black, having conversations with members of staff and students alike, arguing about the quiz season.
Something is very wrong with
Professor, a word? Professor Black? Again, it is not too late to reconsider your decision regarding Quidditch. We could still have trials and a somewhat shortened season. It would be better than none at all.
But the injury, Madam Kogawa.
Professor, more than one student has taken a bludger to the head on our pitch. I dare say it knocked some sense into them. And they're fine now. The fact that it happened to be a pureblood, well, that's no reason to...
What nonsense! That you would trivialize the health of a student over a silly game.
A silly game? You are quite impossible sometimes. Sir, I've a good mind to write to the Department of Magical Games and Sports at the Ministry about you.
I should think you'd have better things to do with your time. Now, where's my elf?
Good day, Professor. And I spotted Scrope in the Great Hall. Seems to be avoiding me.
I wonder why. Good day, Madam Kogawa.
What did we do to deserve him?
Finding out Black has boils on his arse about the quiz season.
Places to be, Professor Sharp. Places to be.
Of course, sir. Only... you'd asked me about a particular potion, and I did?
I did, yes. Well, spit it out, Sharp. I don't have all day.
Probably best not to discuss it here, sir.
I assure you, Sharp, you may speak freely.
Very well. I've brewed the cure for boils you wanted. I can drop it by your office when it's convenient.
Of course, yes. No need for all the cloak and dagger. Simply have a student deliver it.
A student? Very well, sir, if you insist.
I do. And thank you, Sharp. I just hope you've brewed enough for all my boils.
And what Professor Weasley truly thinks about Fig and ourselves.
Hello, Professor Black.
Professor Weasley. How delightful to see you.
Sir?
Since I have you here, I wonder if I might, speak with you about Professor Fig.
Oh, very well.
I've decided to give him a bit more, leeway with his time.
Leeway, Professor? Are you sure that's wise? I confess I do worry for his students. He's rarely here as it is.
I realize that. and I'd like to keep it that way.
I see. But, sir, if I may, I am wary of how much time the new fifth year seems to be spending away from the castle, supposedly on Professor Fig's behalf. I've heard unsettling rumours of their escapades. Everything from sneaking into the Forbidden Forest to confronting Ranrock's loyalists and Rookwood's lot.
What? Goodness. You cannot believe everything you hear, Professor. No, you cannot. I mean, I shall keep an eye on Fig. You simply keep doing the wonderful job that you're doing. Simply wonderful.
Thank you. But I'm happy to look into...
Good. That'll be all, Weasley.
Finding Scroll, we get the password and enter the headmaster's study. While here, you can find out some more about Black's personal life and his family, but more importantly, the third trial can begin. This could be my favourite mission of the game. It's so cool and unique, and makes me question why the second trial was so similar to the first. The creativeness was there with the team, but they just didn't fully commit to it at all times. You're in this crazy book memory world. First things first, the art style is just beautiful. This pencil hand-drawn style, I love it. The animations, the detail, it's just chef's kiss. This tells the story of the Deathly Hallows, with death on the lookout for us. We have to try and find Neve, and to do so we must dodge the line of sight of various minions of death.
I should have run when I could. I'd be free by now.
Best move while I can. Neve must be here somewhere. I need to time this just right. I see. A staircase straight ahead.
Before we are given the invisibility cloak, the cloak is truly invisible. We then get the Elder Wand, the most powerful wand in existence, and we get to use it in battle of waves of enemy sent by Death himself.
Descendo! Defender! Defender, Bombarder! Defender, Protector! Stupid one, Depulsor, Descender! Bombarder, Defender! Depulsor! Defender, Depulsor, Descender! Bombarder, Descender, Depulsor!
Before finally being given the Resurrection Stone, and we are shown a vision of Neve's funeral, who sadly died too young. Before finally reaching Neve's Pensieve, which shows us a memory of Isadora Morganac.
You found me, but you cannot undo what has been done. The magic of the stone can only conjure a shadow of my former self.
In the memory, Neve and Isadora were pictured walking through the grounds, as Isadora talked about how she was able to contain the strands of ancient magic in her own repositories. Isadora also attempted to use the pain extraction spell on Neve without her permission. Though she was stopped before any damage could be done. We are then introduced to the portrait of Professor Sang Bakar, the last of the Four Keepers.
How did she gain power from it? How did she harness it?
It was disturbing. Although I wonder that you are asking about her power. I hesitate to reveal the location of my pensive to someone who, perhaps, has yet to understand the responsibility of power.
I can assure you, Professor, I do. In fact, what you don't yet know is that a dangerous goblin called Ranrock has accessed the repository at Rookwood Castle. He has learned to harness the contents of it as a source of immense power. He plans to use that power against wizardkind. We have no time to waste.
I see. Nonetheless, the knowledge you shall gain after you witness my memories is too valuable to share without further consideration. I shall require time to confer with the other keepers.
Time to stop thinking about goblins and focus on the poachers, and Harlow in particular, with our good friend, Natty. After rescuing Mr. Bickle's son, she gives us information that more of her friends are victims of extortion and blackmail from Harlow, but they are too scared to come forward and talk. We are tasked going to Hogsmeade to talk to them and encourage them to come forward. We meet with an assistant at the shop, Gladbrag's Wizardware, who is in fact in a secret relationship with the owner's daughter and must pay Harlow to keep quiet.
It's about Theophilus Harlow.
I've nothing to say about him. May I interest you in a stunning cravat today?
Please, sir, I'd like to help. I spoke to Mrs. Bickle.
You know the Bickles? All right. But we must be discreet. Can't have Mr. Hill hearing this.
I know Mr. Hill. He was kind to me the day of the troll attack.
Oh, he's a good man. But even he wouldn't understand about Harlow. It started a few weeks ago. I was distracted, reading a note, when you-know-who came into the shop. I hid the note behind the counter and offered to help him. He stared at me for a moment, then asked me to check on an order he'd placed. I went into the storeroom to check on what turned out to be a non-existent order. When I returned, he was holding the note.
What was in the note?
It was a note from Rosie Hill, Mr. Hill's daughter. You see, we've been, secretly engaged these past 6 months. We haven't told Mr. Hill yet. I dare say he has higher hopes for her. Harlow advised me in no uncertain terms that my relationship with Rosie, not to mention my employment here, depended upon my cooperation.
What does he ask you to do?
It all happened so quickly. In an instant, he took a very expensive scarf from the counter, pocketed it, and smiled. He said, "Your secret is safe as long as I can supply my lady friend with delightful items like this every so often." I've been able to cover for his requests until now with some creative bookkeeping.
A woman whose husband has disappeared and been kidnapped. She works for Gringotts and refused to help the cause.
I came home one night and found my husband gone, and a note affixed to my door with a knife. The note stated that I only had a few days to reconsider helping with some banking needs, and that my husband would appreciate it if I acted quickly. But the help Harlow wants is help that I cannot give, and my dearest Isco is paying the price.
Have you helped Harlow since your husband was taken?
No, I'm worried sick about Isco, but he'd never want me to compromise my integrity. I also know that he's extremely clever. That said, I was hoping he would have escaped by now. It makes me concerned as to why he hasn't.
Thank you, Mrs. Rabe. Knowing the lengths that Harlow will go to is helpful, albeit more than disturbing.
And a man whose house had been robbed by Harlow. But we cannot find Natty. It becomes apparent something bad has happened to her. Using our detective skills, we find prints leading us to the cellar of the Hogshead. Always knew this place was no good. Breaking in, we find a humongous area, almost like the tent we found earlier.
Sallow says her friend will be reckless enough. He wants them alive.
Only a Hogwarts student would be arrogant enough to come in here alone.
Just keep an eye out.
Incendio, Depulsor, Defender, Confringo.
Defeating all these useless adult wizards, we rescue Natty and the husband, but once again, Officer Singer is not happy with us.
And you, the troll dispatcher. Oh, thank goodness the two of you are safe. Isco Rabe told me a couple of students had rescued him. Should have known it was you two.
Is Mr. Rabe all right?
He is. I sent him home to his wife, Miss Onai. Your mother will not be pleased to learn that you're still risking your safety pursuing these dangerous men.
Actually, Officer Singer, Natty and I learned of several Hogsmeade residents who've had their lives threatened by the Ashwinders. In addition to abducting Mr. Rabe, to blackmail his wife and Natty, Rookwood and Harlow have also extorted Agabus Filbert and Otto Dibble.
I will look into all of that. As for the two of you, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but you are taking great risk. Next time, please let the authorities handle the Ashwinders.
With all due respect, officer, the authorities haven't done much about any of this.
There's more to taking down an organization like the Ashwinders than simply storming in and hauling them off based on a few accusations. I must...
How about you do your job, bitch, and get off my back?
I'm Poppy. 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 I am Poppy. I'm Poppy. I'm Poppy. I'm Poppy. I'm Poppy. I'm Poppy.
Yes, we're back to the Animal Whisperer, and she wants to meet us in the forest because nothing bad has ever happened there. The poachers did go after her grandma after we thwarted their fiery dragon fun. Although her grandmother was not harmed, they had found notes regarding the possible existence of golden snidgets, a species generally considered to be extinct, probably because they were used as the golden snitch in Quidditch, and most likely were all squashed till their hero and saviour, Bowman Wright, created the snitch. Poppy is defiant to not let the snidgets get captured by the poachers, and suggests contacting centaurs to help. If you know Harry Potter, you know that's not a good idea. Unsurprisingly, they are not too happy to see us in their forest.
And it spoke back.
No, never. We're here because we need your help.
Enough! You made a grave error in judgment in coming here, little witch.
Leave them be, Alec. We do not harm the young. It is not our way.
You forget your place, old fool. I'm the leader of this herd, and while you cling to our way, their kind continue to slaughter beasts like us without a care.
From what I can see, they have slaughtered no one. They will leave here unharmed.
Mark my words, Doran. If I ever see them again, it will be all three of your heads.
But we're saved thanks to the story's Firenze, Duran. We explain why we are here, and he directs us to the Moonstone Garden. There we retrieve a moonstone, which, according to Duran's instructions, we place on a hedge. The feet attract mooncalves that begin dancing, much to Poppy's amazement. Honestly, girl, calm down.
That was a mooncalf dance. Do you know how rare it is to see even one? They only ever happen under a full moon. Though I suppose the moonstone allowed it to happen now.
Is the pattern they left behind on the ground normal?
All part of the dance. No one pattern is ever the same though. We'll need to draw this one to get a better sense of it.
One last time, in the main story at least, we are hooking up with Sebastian. Not like that, you weird fanfickers. To find the last remaining part of a triac. He is still not pleased with us and has become obsessed with finding the cure for Anne. He demands we press the keepers for more. If we do not, we don't care about him or his sister.
Nerved by Isadora's use of ancient magic. But I still can't be sure how any of it connects to Ranrock.
These keepers are playing games with you. You need to press them for more information.
It doesn't work like that. To access each of these memories, I have to complete a trial. It's not as easy as you think. They're showing me the memories in a particular order.
Either they don't trust you, or you don't care enough about Anne to ask the difficult questions.
I do care about Anne, but I'm tired of explaining myself. Perhaps we should part ways.
That's not what I meant. We're just not getting answers. I need answers. For Anne.
I know.
Once again, we go through a large area, inside a mountain, fighting off spiders and even a troll.
Bombarda. Incendio. Expelliarmus. Accio. Incendio. Levioso, Defender, Confringo, Glacius, Descendo.
Tunnelling through many tunnels and halls, edging to the cave, we find yet another room that had been used by Isadora within her lifetime. And this room contains the last section of a triac, allowing it to be completed. But all is not as it seems. There might be no Isadora to speak to, seemingly destroyed at her house in Felcroft, but we do have a memory of the creation of the repositories that store the ancient magic by Bragbor, a goblin ancestor of Ranrock. As asked for by Isadora herself, this starts to make sense as to why Ranrock is after the magic, as his ancestors created the repository. He believes that makes it his, as goblins believe the maker of the object is whom it belongs to, not the person or its descendants it was made for.
Isadora. What have you done?
I took his pain.
Thank you.
That worked?
It did indeed.
Of course it did. It's goblin silver.
I need something much bigger.
All right. It would help if you could tell me more about what it is you're storing.
Magic.
left over from a spell I devised to remove pain, but if used correctly, its power can be used to do even more good.
Sebastian then becomes set on this way to save Ang and presses it even further, adding further strain to our rocky friendship.
There was a way to help Anne. Something isn't right, Sebastian.
What do you mean? You saw what she did.
No, not the memories, the portrait. I think the reason Isadora hasn't appeared is because she can't.
I don't follow.
We have seen that view before. The abandoned home in Felgroth, the destroyed painting, it was her.
So someone destroyed a bit of enchanted canvas, but we found the memory.
Yes, you're right.
We saw what she wanted us to see. We saw what she could do, what you can do.
But I don't know how to do what Isadora did.
Well, then you shall learn. The Keepers can teach you.
I'm not sure that they would. The Keepers believe that removing someone's ability to feel pain, it's a highly complicated, unpredictable form of magic. One that should be wielded with great care. If at all.
If at all? You've overcome all of their challenges. You've more than proven yourself. You can wield it. You have the ability.
Lodgok is finally back and has sent an owl saying he has found one of Ranrock's drills in a mine along the shore and intends to destroy it. After trying and failing to reason with Ranrock, he asks to join us, but if we can't, he'll speak soon and has something to give us. But what could it be? We fight our way through the mine, but with no sign of Lodgok. At this point of playing the first time, I was expecting Lodgok to have tricked us and be a backstabbing Brutus, because as much as he's a great character, and the conversation he shares with us about Miriam shows a lot more character than 9% of characters in this game. He's caring, he wants to help. I just thought it was too good to be true. Even though we had met nice goblins in the game through side content, I was just ready for Rookwood, Ranrock and Lodgok waiting for us with maniacal laughter. We must bring down the mine and its support to ruin the drills, while fighting all manner of creatures trying to delay and hold us off.
Quiet. I can end this right now. I have to destroy the drill and stop Ranrock's launch.
Expelliarmus, Potato! Gringo! Bombarda! Leviosa! Incendio! Revelio! Accius! Expelliarmus! Incendio! Defender! Bombarda!
At this point, once again we come face to face with Ranrock for the first time since Gringotts. He isn't too worried about the Drew, as he has many more raring to go. Rookwood then enters with Lodgok, and I'll let the scene play.
No matter, we will build another.
I found this one lurking outside.
Lodgok, come to make amends, little brother.
I came to stop this.
What is this you've brought me? It cannot be. All this time, you knew where it was. Don't!
You're right.
I'll never understand you, Lodgok. So gullible. That witch did not consider you an equal. She, like all wizard kind, sought only to use you.
You're wrong, Ranrock.
The young ones are especially deceitful.
They are taught to hide their disgust for us as they exploit us.
Astonishing that our ancestors ever trusted each other.
All this time, looking everywhere for the final repository, searching in vain for Bragbor's last journal. Wasted my time chasing a child. And my little brother knew where it was all along. But now, I don't need you. I don't need any of you.
I was bringing it to you.
You are a traitor to our kind! No! Avada Kedavra!
Poor Lodgok. Yes, my hunch was completely off. He was genuine. And to be Ranrock's brother, you can see why he tries so hard to reason with him. He clearly cared for Ranrock. While I was sad to see him killed, I do wish we got to spend a bit more time with him. Again, build up the trusting relationship more, to consider him a very good friend. Have him meet with Fig. It is what I feel like a lot with this game. You barely do missions with people, other than really Sebastian and Natty, to build up a truly meaningful relationship, to care deeply about them. I can imagine people going, "Oh, no, that's a shame," and moving on. But you are supposed to be sad at this time because of his death. On the breakdown of relationship between Ranrock and Rookwood, again, we knew it was uneasy and not natural. But it just happens there and then. There's been so many things happening off screen we are never shown. We don't spend enough time seeing these characters. It'll be something we touch on more, especially with Rookwood. These villains just do not hit at all. We return to the Mat Chamber to report to Professor Fig and the Keepers the news that Ranrock now knows where the last repository is, and that Lodgok had tried to bring the last journal of Bragbor to us when he was killed. Sambakar's portrait reveals the obliviated Bragbor, but the Keepers had no idea he kept journals. When we reveal what we have found with Sebastian regarding Isadora.
He have documented all of this. He didn't know what we were containing.
Isadora told Bragbor about the magic when she asked him to build a container for her. I've seen her memories.
Isadora left memories for someone to find? You know what she did?
Her memories showed what she did for her father, which I also saw in Professor Rookwood's pensive. And a conversation with Bragbor in which she expressed frustration about the limits being placed on her use of ancient magic.
Based upon the memories they have seen, I believe our young friend is well aware of the grave circumstances in which we find ourselves.
This is the end for Poppy. Before the final trial, it is time to finish off with Poppy and save the Snidgets from the bastard poachers. Returning to Doran, we explain what we had found, then set out to find the Snidgets, doing a puzzle which appears easy but stupid me had trouble with.
I wonder if the pillars move at all. Perhaps it has to do with the light and the darkness. That did it.
Once inside, it's just more of the same. Unlock a door, solve a puzzle, before being ambushed by poachers who have followed us here. Looking overwhelmed and fighting a losing battle, we get a surprise. Dorang has managed to convince the centaur herd to look past pride and help us, something they are never keen to do.
The land returns to the...
Ready your horses. The fight.
Back for more. Objective
This allows ourselves and Poppy to save the Snidgets and even watch them hatch. A very joyous moment indeed. We can then meet up with Poppy later, who thanks us for allowing to come out of her shell and have a friend, something she's never really had. Which, as someone who's felt like that at school, it does warm my heart. So there ends the Poppy storyline, and while it starts out fiery, it fizzles out towards the end. We will discuss all three companion storylines once the other two are also wrapped up.
There they are. Now, all that remains is to break the charm.
You want us to... I only ever wanted to see them safe, which they are. You should do it.
We are now deemed ready for the final trial. We're going to meet Professor Fig at the location of Sam Bakar's trial. However, we struggle to figure out how to open the door to access the trial. Upon seeing the sculpture of a Graphorn, and remembering Sam Bakar's earlier comments that we need to be well trained in the handling of beast, Fig guesses that to succeed we must need to tame a Graphorn. He sends us to the Lord of the Shore, a semi-legendary Graphorn roaming around the southern coast beyond the Hogwarts Valley. Again, it's nice to see a different type of trial, but it does come out of left field. Sam Bakar doesn't seem the type to be a beast orientated. Once again, allowing us to spend more time with him and maybe helping him save his Snidgets on his order to prove we are ready would be a good way to show we are ready for this trial, rather than just time passing. Once there, we must battle with the gigantic Graphorn. However, after a few minutes, the beast charges, and we have a choice to kneel to show respect or use magic and force it to respect us. I decide to kneel, gaining the Graphog's respect, and the beast allows us to mount him.
I need your help, friend.
We then get to charge around on the Graphog back to Professor Fig, causing damage and taking out our enemies. When this was shown in one of the earlier trailers or stage plays, I was so excited to see what we would get as different mounts that we could use in combat to gallivant around the open world. This is unlocked so late. This is the only time I actually use it. It's such a shame because it adds new value to combat, but because this is the third to last main quest and the other two missions do not require it, just like the Hippogriff and Thestral, it will be kept on the beach in my room of requirement. I hope they do improve the beasts for a sequel, making me want to use them and introducing more to variant combat and the like. The trial itself is over once we get to the Graphog, to the door. Again, I wish it was longer, giving us the chance to use the Graphog fighting through a cave and breaking down walls, even having a time trial with booby traps causing the cave to collapse and we must race to get to the Pensieve. Overall, the Keeper's trials are just good, other than the third one. There is not much to them, they're just the same things we've been doing throughout the game. The first trial does seem impressive, but then just to repeat it for the second trial, it just seems the norm by then, and I wish there was something else to do on that second trial. We now have the final memory, and wow, is it good.
Hello? Isadora? Isadora? Mr. Morganach, Mr. Morgan?
Son, I'm glad you're here.
Isadora was not at her home.
I know.
Her father. Percival.
What is it?
It is as though he was stripped not only of his pain, but of all emotion.
Everything is much worse than I feared. Neve was right. Isadora hasn't stopped. I've just learned that she has been wielding that magic on students.
We must gather the others. I need you to return to your common room, all right?
What have you done?
Take a breath.
Students, Isadora.
Everyone feels pain. And why? Because of your arrogance? Your obsession with secrets? He won't suffer any longer. Not my father, not my students, no one.
Isadora, set down your wand.
Professor, you taught me to hone my power, not throw it away.
I did not teach you this. Expelliarmus!
Yes, below Hogwarts, the repository, the one where all the pain, the extracted magic was kept. I do like how the student doesn't press on that Sambuca just outright killed Isadora at the time, because it was not unforgivable. But I do look at Charles and Percival as people who would never turn to using such curses, but they don't even react. Like I said right at the start, these memories and learning the story is really one of the best narrative points of the game. It is a shame we don't get to talk to the portrait of Isadora, and she could try to justify her reasoning. Especially if you're a student playing, going down a dark path, you could decide to go down with her rather than the Keepers. Back at the map chamber, the Keepers also revealed the true function of the Pensieve artefacts. Combined, they are used to create a powerful wand needed to access the final repository and contain its ancient magic. With little time left to lose until Ranrock inadvertently attacks Hogwarts, we are sent to Ollivander for the wand to be constructed. Now time for my least favourite mission of the entire game. We go to Ollivander's and have this special wand crafted. Upon leaving the shop,
I should warn you, I've never seen a wand like this before. My suspicion, as Professor Fig implied in his letter, is that it serves a unique purpose. I doubt you shall find much use for it otherwise.
I understand. Thank you, sir.
I'm afraid you're on your own. I've ensured that we have a moment to ourselves. Oh, come, come. No need for such theatrics. In light of what Ranrock now knows, you must agree that our interests are aligned.
Our interests will never be aligned.
You would let goblins take what is rightfully ours? The final repository belongs to wizard kind. We would be fools not to work together. What's that you've got there? Might this sudden visit to the Wand Maker have something to do with our mutual pursuit?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That repository is my birthright!
Charles Rookwood wouldn't have wanted you near it.
The arrogance. Should have known better than to try and reason with a child. I've always said, children should be seen and not heard.
I do like how Rookwood here wants to team up with a student. He believes this belongs to him because of birthright and wizard kind compared to goblins. Again, if you'd gone down the dark path, it would have been appropriate to have three decisions here. Team up, kill him, and go power hungry, or the other option and be like, never! So now it is time to further battle with the most undeveloped character in the game. It's just like any cap you encounter. in the game. There are many enemies, but you must focus on defeating Rookwood. And this ends in the most anticlimactic way possible. The gameplay feature of the spells connecting and you forcing his spell back once again is not something we've seen in the game as of yet, and we will only see it one more time. There are famous villains in this game. It would have made sense, if not all of them, to have this feature so you are trained up on it and it doesn't just seem random at the very end of the game. When this first happened, I was like, wait, he's just dead now, gone. It did not seem like a boss fight at all. I mean, it fits with his character to go out like that, with no build up and just going out on a whimp. I just don't understand Rookwood's role, or lack of, in this game. It's like they just did not know how to fit him in. This game would be no different without him, and Ronwood just solely as the main villain. It may have just been for the best, just to have him as a side villain in the Natty storyline, and have more of a focus on him there with Harlow and their poaching gang, because Harlow has a better story, arc and finish than Rookwood does. It's just such a shame because of his links to the keepers. We could have had such good finish to the game. Maybe after Rookwood and Ranrock split at the end, they both make a siege on Hogwarts on the repository separately, and it is a three-way battle, having two final boss battles, first Rookwood, then Ranrock. This mission feels so flat, just nothing. It seems like any type of battle in the open world, and it's one of your main villains. This should not have happened whatsoever. This is the end of the Sebastian storyline. This time, it is Ominous who howls to meet us in Felcroft. When arriving, we find out Sebastian has reached out to Anne and was determined to save her. Once and for all, he has entered the catacomb to seize the very vague relic, which has been referenced many times without really any explanation about it. Upon entering the catacomb, we realise Sebastian has raised an army of Inferi, which he believes he's in control of. He couldn't be further wrong, as we must fight our way through the many dead bodies brought back to life, once again by very vague dark magic. Upon reaching him, you can congratulate or berate Sebastian for his magic. I chose to be the disappointed father, and he once again feels we are not all in for Anne, but we are interrupted.
Done! Back to your relic!
The relic!
You'll pay for this!
So we're in a fight with Solomon, and I'm really not sure why. I agree with everything he has said thus far. From the outset, in this playthrough, I've been trying to stop Sebastian from going down this dark path, but from the start, each time Sebastian has done something dark and dumb, i.e. the use of the Imperius Curse, he berates both of us. This fight feels like it should be a storyline from someone who has gone down the dark path. So regrettably, during Solomon, the biggest shock of the game happens.
Cannot be healed, Sebastian! You must stop! I won't let her suffer!
This really did shock me at this point in the game. I knew Sebastian would be the one to teach us the killing curse, but I thought he would have used it on a goblin due to his hatred of them. Killing his uncle is something I was not expecting at all, but wow, it is impactful. Anne appears and she looks devastated, but also disgusted with Sebastian. And wait, she can apparate? You're a 5th year, where did you learn this? And hang on, I thought you were dying with a deadly curse. What is this? The plight of Sebastian is complete, and he has lost everything he wanted to save. He has also lost the respect of his friends. He just did not know when to stop. This next part though feels very janky. We escape the cave and we lose the devastation, the panic, the shock of all of what has just happened. He wants to teach us the killing curse. I know we had to learn it at some point, but this does not feel the time at all. This is why I think the spell should have been introduced before. Yes, the shock of him using it for the first time on his uncle is there, but it makes more sense to be taught earlier on some poor goblins instead. Ominous is horrified at what his friend has done, but does feel pity too. He asks if we agree if we should turn him in, and I agree. And off my new best friend Ominous goes to explain everything to the headmaster. Sebastian must be pissed off when he finds out we rattle him though, especially if you're playing as a bad guy, learning all the curses with him. With Seb off to Azkaban and you gallivanting around killing everything in sight. Sebastian finds out before he is carted off the truth who cursed Anne. Not a goblin, it was Rookwood. Which brings him slight comfort, for some reason. Rookwood is down, but Harlow is still out there. Natty has a plan. Harlow has sent letters pretending to be some of the people we have been helping out, but we're not as dumb as he thinks we are, so we are ready for Harlow's last stand. First up, we will be ambushed by Rookwood's men, Ashwinders. Before now, the leader of the gang now jumps out.
Little Natsai Onai, innit? And her excruciatingly loyal companion. You two have done quite a bit of damage to my business interests. But I must grudgingly give you some credit. What was once a mere annoyance has become remarkably problematic. Fortunately, I pride myself on my problem-solving skills.
Once again, it's boss time, and this is a better fight and a better ending than Rookwood gets, which is just such a strange decision, and it's a shame. This whole storyline should have been focused on both Rookwood and Harlow. We think we have the upper hand before. Graceful Gazelle saves us. Natty, as revealed earlier, is an animagus, and just like her father, she saves someone she cares for, but thankfully not dying, unlike him, poor guy. This moment reels all grief she holds about her father's death as she realises it's instinct to save your friends and family, and all is well in Natsai Onai's world.
It just to be safe. I was relieved when she told me that you were all right.
Only because of you. How are you feeling?
Well, I've had better days, but Nurse Blaney says that I am on the mend.
I'm sorry, Natty. It's my fault you got hurt.
What? No. Do not blame yourself for this. The moment that I saw Harlow aim his wand at you, well...
You quickly made the choice to protect me.
I did what I had to, and I would do it again. I could not simply stand there and let you get hurt.
Then I shouldn't feel guilty.
Of course not. There was nothing that you... Oh my... I cannot believe that it took me this long to see it. He made a choice, based on instinct. My father, you, my friend, are no more to blame for my injuries today. then I am to blame for my father's sacrifice years ago.
From what I know of him, it seems there's a lot of your father in you.
That's very kind of you to say. I hope that you are right.
Racing back to Hogwarts, alerting Fig of Rookwood's demise, and once again, he just shakes it off. The child killed a fully grown human being? Oh dear, whoopsie you. It is a race against time to beat Ranrock to the repository, but alas, it is too late. This time though, we are not alone, and this could be my favourite cutscene of the entire game. Seeing it always gets me excited. It reminds me of a mixture between the Order of the Phoenix arriving at the Ministry and the Battle of Hogwarts scene as the camera swings through the castle.
Have somehow evaded the castle's defensive charge.
Steer them this way! We shall make quick work of them!
Oh. They got this.
Fighting through the cavern, battling goblins and trolls.
Look out! Another troll! This one's worse than the last two! Stop him! Confringo!
Clean up! There's a big opportunity to leave some for the rest of us.
We'd just be happy to see you, Professor Sharp.
Incendio!
Before arriving at the repository, and we must choose to contain it like the keepers would have wanted, or to Fig's astonishment and disappointment, you can choose to open it and have it for yourself. Not that you'll have an extra power or new magic or anything. For this strand, I believe it's made for a good ending, but before we can do anything, Ranrock charges in, wielding Miriam's wand.
The arrogance of wizard kind. Goblins built this repository. It belongs to us.
Enough, Ranrock. It was never yours.
I've been wanting to play with this. Miriam's wand. If she'd simply handed over the container, all of this could have been avoided. Foolish, self-important witch. Seems you were two of a kind. She didn't know when to give up either.
Not Fig! No! I really don't like this. Not him getting hold of some of this power and magic. Turning into a dragon. It feels such a gamey thing, where the big bad guy turns into some giant different form, adding to his power. Why can't Ranrock use the magic and the use of a wand to generate magic that turns into a dragon? Similar to how Voldemort used Fire Snake or something, or even Fire Fiend. There is lots of ways to adapt a wizarding world than turning into a big dragon. The actual fight itself is a good one. It's 3 stages and it's on higher difficulties, a challenge, and can take a few attempts. Like most of the boss battles, you must break the shield magic using the corresponding colour before causing damage, but having to avoid his attacks, especially in the last area, it's hard. Finally defeating the goblin, we use the crafted wand to contain the magic. And what's this? Professor Fig's alive? And he helps contain the magic using the last of his strength to help us, and in his last moments gets this sweet moment.
loved you, my young friend. The wizarding world could not be in more capable hands.
Once again, it is sad to see Fig go, but he's at peace with his wife. It would have been more impactful and gut-wrenching if we had more time to bond with him in more missions, him accompanying us in the world, and just having more conversation to learn more about him. This story weirdly ends still while it's snowing, so is it like January, February time? It's very weird pacing, but now it's time for the end of year feast.
Long-standing colleague to his peers. A famed adventurer and seeker of knowledge, he built a reputation charging into the unknown, brazenly disregarding both discretion and safety, providing perhaps a rather unfortunate lesson for us all. His devotion to adventure was rivaled only by his dedication to Hogwarts. And of course, to his wife, Middy, whom we lost much too soon as well.
Professor Fig represented the best of all of us. He could be deviously clever, possessed a brilliantly inquisitive mind, and was the most loyal of friends. But perhaps it was his remarkable courage, for which we will all be forever indebted to him. If not for Professor Fig, well, I can say with confidence that if not for him, many of us, let alone Hogwarts, would not be here today. Those that knew him best will agree that we must now honor him as only Hogwarts can, by wisely, resourcefully, justly, and bravely facing all that lies ahead.
To Professor Fig!
Yay! We are the champions, and the game is now over. So let's wrap all this up. Finally. While I thoroughly enjoyed this game, from all my comments, I just can't get into this story. It's probably the weakest aspect of the game. It stems from the villains. They're just weak, bland, and not utilised in the story. They're both just very flat and 2D, while you can learn more about them, and compelling things too, especially about Ranrock in the open world. Rookwood could be the worst character in this game, and it's just a shame because he needn't be. It is all bark with very little bite. You hear about all these things Harlow and Rookwood do, and they're disturbing, but you never have any trouble with them in the main story. Just taking out goblin grunts, it never feels like real trouble. Everyone talks about how much trouble the goblins and poachers are causing, but no one ever seems bothered about it. It is just disjointed and all over the place. I wish we could have spent more time with the characters who play key roles in the story, mainly the two who die in aiding our course, Fig and Lodgok. Both are up there with my favourite characters in the games, but their deaths just don't hit like they should. The story is actually not that long, the missions are just spread out, while the most compelling part is the Keepers and the past once again. I just want more. I think that is just where this story needs more focus, more mission, more time to breathe and to develop its characters, and more time especially for our villains. As Alan from Hangover would say, we have the three best friends that anyone could have, we have the three best friends that anyone could have, and will never ever 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 be apart, except Sebastian, because he's in Azkaban. As I touched on and explained throughout, the three companion stories are once again good to very good. Let's start with Poppy. The dragon story comes under the main stem of the story. but I will say that is one of my favourite missions of the game. While I do find each of our friends' backstories on what they're doing and why they're doing it compelling, with Poppy it's due to her parents being poachers and she's seen that life up front and personal. The actual missions and story following saving of the golden snidgets, it just doesn't jump out to me. I would have preferred something more extended with a dragon and its egg, maybe ending it with it hatching, almost a callback to Norbert or Norberta, caring for the dragon, even in our room of requirement world. It would have been something more interested and I'd been more invested into it. So sorry Poppy, your storyline is probably the least favourite of my three. Next up we have Natty. As I said throughout this video, Harlow has more of an arc than half of our main villain Rookwood. It just makes more sense to have them both together and we are forced to take them down. The missions in the storyline are fun, starting out with a blast saving Highwing, although this seems Poppy could have had this mission too. The final mission taking down Harlow is again a solid mission, better than the final stand for Rookwood, but my favourite mission is the one based in Hogsmeade, where we learn of all the extortion and blackmail Harlow is up to. The characters we meet in this mission and the hearing of their stories is interesting to discover and does spur you on to put a stop to him, and the secret area in the Hog's Head is a brilliant area, and the combat in there, as all combat in this game, is lots of fun. But overall, what I love about this storyline is the progression of Natty and how this allows her to get over her guilt of her father's death, and it coming in full circle with her saving us in the exact same way. It's beautiful, it's poetic, it's poetry, it's symmetry, all them lines George Lucas had about the prequels and the original trilogy. Now on to the best story strand of the entire game, the plight of Sebastian. From the outset he's the strongest and most developed character. We spend the most time with him, and through his story to see him lose himself and become more and more desperate, and the harder he tries the more he loses and pushes away the ones he loves and he's doing this for. It is sad to see. He isn't doing this because he's evil or dark, he just wants to save his sister, and all magic should be embraced and considered. His arrogance, but also his love, blinds him to see what our character Omigus and his uncle are doing. It's not because we don't care, but it's because we have accepted the truth and want to actually help care for Ang, something he doesn't seem to consider. The missions themselves are action-packed, dark, mysterious, and I love the exploration to get into. And then the design of a slithering scriptorium, it's my favourite location of the game. The ending is shocking, but a fitting way to end the story. My only problem is your choices in these missions have no sway or impact on the outcome. It feels like it's designed solely for you to follow Sebastian down the path, and it doesn't consider if you agree with Ominous and Solomon. I am sorry it ended this way for you, Seb. Enjoy prison, you nutter. This world is full of lots of different characters, from all the students of Hogwarts, the professors, the shopkeepers of Hogsmeade, the villagers of the hamlets, and our famous villains. They are varied and many to meet. There are lots of different students to mingle with and help, or compete with when it comes to the side missions. The students are the best set of characters in this game. This is the one thing where the game hit on. What I loved about Bully is the many different students in their different cliques, all having fun and unique personalities, and Hogwarts Legacy does the same. While you may only interact with that student once, they do leave a lasting impact and are fun, different and memorable. Yes, there are some better than others. I really think they hit out with the writing and creation of the students, including my favourite character of the game, Ominous Gaunt. How he starts out with you when you first interact, rude, angry, bitter, sheltered, a typical Gaunt, threatening to use his connection, but throughout the storyline learning more about him, the trauma he's had from his dark, evil family, a black sheep, almost a Sirius Black type character, not liking the dark arts one bit, and how he connects with us through the Sebastian storyline is really cool, and by the end of the game I cared about him a lot. The students of Hogwarts are great, but the professors, well, they're just okay. I just feel they played very safe. Professor Weasley feels like McGonagall, and Mrs Weasley in one. While not entirely like Snape, Professor Sharp feels like Snape. Professor Rogan, energetic and kind, does feel like Flitwick. While many have compelling stories to tell, Rogan and his past growing up, shaping the way he is, Hecate being injured in the time room at the Department of Mysteries, Sharp and his days as an Auror, We just don't get to see that all that often, and we just fall flat. As discussed with Fig, I just need more. And Black just seems so wasted and underutilised. It's just a great shame. Other than Serona, the rest of the characters just fall by the side, and honestly, very unmemorable. Not that they needed to be, when this is Hogwarts Legacy, and the kids there are great. But now to talk about our character, I just feel it's very two-dimensional. He's the most boring, or she is the most boring of the game. There's nothing about us, we don't have a past, we're just an item, a sandbox almost, of the world where we get to mould and create. But to have nothing to us, it just seems such a wasted effort in the writing to make us this very special thing, and just to have us so flat and undimensional. Maybe I'm not the biggest player of these RPG games, and in a lot of the games it's the same, but I just don't like it. I like my characters to be developed, have a story, have an arc, have a progression, and we get to decide along the way what that is. But in this game I just don't think we do. We just get powerful, we've got magic, we're cool. And yeah, like I say, maybe I'm not the biggest player of RPG, so I just don't get it when you have this blank canvas of a character. I'm used to a Cal Kestis, an Arthur Morgan, a John Marston, etc, etc. So I'm probably being a bit greedy, but there we go. Hogwarts Legacy 2 is 100% going to happen. I would be shocked if it wasn't already in the early stages of being worked upon. Throughout this video I've discussed what I cannot wait to see be implemented or improved on, but when it comes to the story, again, from this video I was not too impressed with this one, and something that may shock you, I don't want a direct sequel to this game. Even before the game came out, I always wanted this franchise to be an anthology series rather than carrying out the story of this student we play. Purely from a lore perspective, I just don't want crazy things to happen where these games are forced not to be canon, because I love canon. Also, there is the mess of all your choices from this game and how you played it being ported over to the next one. I would be way more excited to see us going to a different age of Hogwarts, maybe being one of the first students at Hogwarts and being taught by the founders, and if you select Slytherin House, you can be taught in the Chamber of Secrets by Salazar himself. A time when the first Wizarding World was going on, a time set after Harry's time at school, so in modern times, 2025. But the one I would be most excited about is a Triwizard Tournament year based in the 1600s, one of the last of the original tournaments. How epic would it be to be able to compete in the tournament and win eternal glory? And you know they mean the Harry, did you put the name in the Goblet of Fire? I'd love to see that. The possibilities are endless when thinking of what an anthology sequel could be, but I would love to hear all your thoughts on this below. So we finally reached the end. God, this has been epic and amazing to do. I really hope you have enjoyed this video. It's taken a lot of time and effort and love to make, and it has been such a learning curve and something I've thoroughly enjoyed. I cannot wait to make more of these type of videos. But my final thought on this game, after waiting 12 years for a Wizarding World game, the wait was firmly worth it for this. It's truly magical, fun. Yes, it's not the most groundbreaking game ever, and yes, the story leaves something to be desired, but running around, exploring this world is something I love. It cannot be beaten. I still go back and play Hogwarts on the PC, PS1, and heck, I even go back to Deathly Hallows, so I will 100% be coming back to Hogwarts in the 1890s, and I cannot wait to return in a sequel. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this year on a retrospective of Hogwarts Legacy. Leave all your thoughts down below on the game. I cannot wait to read and discuss it all. Please do all that YouTube nonsense, like, subscribe, comment, and until next time, goodbye and have a good day.